Japan is building South Africa's next energy-led industrial future. So join us for the Majabang Investment Summit. It happens, Thursday, Friday, right? 16th and 17th of October in Velcom, where opportunity meets innovation. From gas and green energy to logistics, agro-processing, and advancing manufacturing. Discover how you can invest in a special economic zone backed by a major energy projects. Solar power together with world-class infrastructure. Fast-track your investment, power your growth, be part of the future. Register now the website is majapang.coza, powered by energy, driven by vision.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
What a warm welcome to you. I trust you had a very, very good weekend, although it started off on a disappointing note with that Bafana draw against Zimbabwe. But we look forward to tomorrow, right? There are other issues that dominates the headlines. Globally, the issues of the release of the hostages by Hamas, and that's certainly dominating the headlines. And then back home, 42 people confirmed dead in the Limpopo, that horror bus crash, and really sad, tragic incident that happens far too often near Messina, right? So that we know. And linked to that, we'll certainly pick up on both those conversations. But certainly the one that has dominated the better part of the last week or two in South Africa is where we start with, which is the Parliament's ad hoc committee. So they continue their hearings today. The testimony of Lieutenant General Shedrick Sabia, who's the Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection. The committee, to remind you, is investigating allegations made by the KZN Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, regarding the dissolution of the Political Killings Task Team. So lots went through. I can tell you now the name of Diane Kohler Barnard very much uppermost in much of the conversations today, with a call certainly from within the ANC that demands that Kohler Barnard herself step aside from the proceedings. Well, my name is Ashraf Garda. Welcome indeed to the show. Save this number to call in live anytime. We'll take your calls 086 000 2032, WhatsApp 0614 104 107. That you can text or voice note right away. But talk about right away, let's join and rejoin, in this case, Parliament's ad hoc committee. In fact, we'll do that in just a moment or so, because they've just taken a quick break for lunch. So what we'll do is just revive certain aspects. And this is the nature really of what happens on the show when we do have these live crossings. So what we'll do, let's do this. Let's play some clips from earlier on, right? From Shedrick Sabia's testimony from earlier on today, which I think you're going to find very, very thought-provoking.
I was aware of the PKT that was established to focus on political killings. But I was also aware of the PKTT that were at times assigned on matters that are really not PKTT related. In other words, when the National Commissioner feels that we need such a team at such a point, he will then also deploy it, because they were a multidisciplinary team that has all the relevant expertise within the team. However, I'm of the view that when I look at the PKTT as a task team, and that is only and mainly focusing on KZN, it's a cause for concern, because when you look at the PKTT and the way they were constructed, I can tell you that we have other political killings throughout the country that are not being attended by the PKTT. And I can give you a clear example if you were to go to page 145 of the core bundle. When you look at when you look at,
sorry, General, just Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, just to remind you again, this reference to the core bundle is the bundle you don't have before you. It will be made available.
Right, of course, you have your own thoughts. Do comment, by the way. Just drop us a WhatsApp. We'll bank it. We'll play it whenever we get the chance. 0614 104 107, right? Now, let's continue. Sibiya then talks about his relationship, and this is an important one, with the police commissioner, or the police minister, let me get that right, Senzo Mchunu.
How would you describe your relationship with Minister Mchunu?
It's a relationship between a minister and one of the senior managers of the police. Like all of us, we were accounting to the National Commissioner, and we all get calls where you need to go and either explain something to the minister, or maybe get taskings. There was a standard arrangement and agreement that, look, if the minister calls you, you can't say no, but do let me know as the National Commissioner. But do go, but let me know. And this is how it works.
Before or rather, what was your reaction when he was appointed?
Who?
When Minister Mchunu was appointed?
Well, Chair, when a new minister is appointed, we all sitting with bated breath. You don't know what he's coming with, and you don't know what if he comes and say, I need a new team, I need new people. So we're all waiting to hear what is next. We're all waiting to hear, to be addressed, and we all sat down in the boardroom, and they came, they addressed us all, and they indicated that, we have confidence in you guys. We're going to give all of you an opportunity. We want to work with you. We are here. We are part of the team. Let's work. And they gave everyone an assurance that, guys, do your work. As long as you do your work, we'll work. That's how they approached the whole thing.
Before his appointment in July 2024, did you know Minister Mchunu?
No, I didn't know him. It was the first time I met him, actually.
Sorry, did you say not really or
No,
not at all?
it was the first time I met him. Sorry. It was the first time I met him.
Right, so what we'll do, we'll take some of your calls and comments in a few minutes' time because of that lunch break that's happening right now, which will resume at 3:30, right? So let's continue then in terms of some of the key moments of today. Sibiya then outlined his relationship with the KZN Police Commissioner General, and this is key, right? General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi.
Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi.
I must say, I've had a good working relationship with General Mkhwanazi for years. And there was no issue at all. The only issue came just after the arrest of AKA. It came just after the arrest of AKA. I participated in the as the team were planning, and even in my case,
okay, Honorable Ngola.
Thank you, Chair, and apologies for doing this. The General is talking about an arrest of AKA. I'm not sure if should we take it that automatically he's referring to the arrest of the alleged murderers of AKA. So maybe if that can be, we don't want to assume that he's talking about what we think he's talking about, because he's referring to an arrest of AKA.
Or whether he assumes that we all know what AKA.
my apology, Chair and members.
We're not joking about it. It's a very sensitive matter. We just saying that for the purpose of our records, if we can say everything for what it is. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair, and my apology, honorable members. That is where the difference between myself and General Mkhwanazi came in, and it was not meant to be a big issue. After the arrest of those that were involved, now we were somewhere in Cape Town with in an operation. It was Minister Kaele then. But the minister came, approached me and said, "Tell me, are you sure the people that were arrested are the right people?" And I said, "I'm quite sure, Minister," because I was involved in the process. I said, "I'm quite sure." He said, "Can I have the team to brief me? Because I am the one who's going to be asked also in other forums, especially the media." I said, "That can be arranged, Minister. Let me arrange it right away." I then contacted the province. Now, in contacting the province, I contacted the Deputy Provincial Commissioner of KZN.
Okay, and then naturally, as we're going down the line with the comments of Sibiya from just about his relationship with everybody, what about his relationship then with Brown Mokhotsi?
You know Brown Mokhotsi?
I know Brown Mokhotsi.
How do you know him?
Brown Mokhotsi, I know him as an activist in Northwest, but I didn't know him. I also Googled him and I saw him at some point. He was commenting and making it was an interview, but relating to the former premier and Gauteng, former premier of Northwest, and he also contacted me. Remember that he would also collect some information there around there, what is going on, whether be it the tender-related corruptions there or concerns that he had, and then also he ended up also aiding the fact that look, I just also want to warn you that you must know that the intelligence people are working on you. They are busy in your case after you. I knew about it, and then he was just telling me something that I was aware of. And I even spoke to the National Commissioner about it at some point. I said, "NASCOM, I know I just got this strange call from this person. He says he's Brown." I didn't know Brown Mokhotsi, but he said he's Brown. And then we were leaving his office, and the National Commissioner said, "Well, let's keep on listening to him and let's hear what he says," and I didn't entertain it further.
What is your relationship, if any, with Brown Mokhotsi?
No,
Don't have a relationship.
Senior Counsel, just before you proceed. General, are you saying that he called you?
Called me. You called me, Chair.
And informed you that the intelligence people are listening to you or are investigating you?
Yes, Chair, and that was the case.
Without you having had a discussion with him before about a matter like that?
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
I had not even met him, not even once. Even my records can show.
But he phoned you,
He did call me.
so his phone will show that. His phone will show that he phoned you.
Yes, the record can indicate that. The records are there, they should be there.
Yeah. So how does he get your number? I mean, a senior person like you in the police, I'm sure a lot of our citizens would want to phone higher up sometimes when they're frustrated because a crime that's not being addressed or followed up or solved, and then they want to phone higher up. Now, you don't know this guy?
Counsel, I don't know this guy. I never contacted him before, and you do get it because at this level, you get calls from citizens of this country, and they will tell you that I'm so and so. I've been given your number by so and so and so and so.
Okay, I'd like to get your thoughts, so I'll take your calls now. In fact, 086 000 2032. What do you make of the goings on today at Parliament's ad hoc committee, and anything else that you'd like to get off your chest?
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Amavubi have a big plan to finish as high as possible in Group C. However, Bafana Hugo believe nothing will stop them from collecting 3 points. This is the 2026 FIFA World Cup African qualifier. Catch South Africa versus Rwanda on Tuesday, 14 October at 5:30 p.m. Live on SABC3, SABC Plus, and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
At Anglo American, we mine more than minerals. We mine possibility and progress with purpose. For over a century, we have been part of South Africa's story, investing in our country's potential and unlocking opportunities together. This year alone, through our Kumba iron ore business, we've invested 25.9 billion rand into South Africa. This includes infrastructure development, education and healthcare, community upliftment, and more. Follow us on our social media channels, Anglo American South Africa, and join the conversation. Anglo American, mining potential, building beyond.
X at SAFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Okay, I'll get to your comments just in a moment, but there's more clips. Sibiya then, in fact, expanded on meeting Brown Mokgotsi.
Third party or some people.
That's correct, Council.
And there's nothing unusual about that, you say?
It happens all the time, Council.
And he also gave you some information that, some people are after you, words to that effect.
That's correct, Chair.
So he's peddles information.
If the council put it that way.
Of a political nature.
If the council put it that way, that he will call you and tell you that, hey, Chief, be careful, 1, 2, 3, 4 is happening. And then mine is to see how I deal with this information.
Okay. And did you ever meet him in person?
Yes, twice.
When was that and where?
The very first time when we went to operate in KZN in Durban, January 8, we were there on official duties.
On?
Official duties.
Yeah.
And then he called and said, will you be in Cape Town? I said, yes, I will be there, sir. I will be working. He said, I'll come greet you because we are going there. I said, it's fine. And then he did come to the hotel where I was at that time. And he came, greeted me. It was during breakfast, and he left in town.
And where was that? Which hotel was that? In Cape Town?
Yeah, in Cape Town, in town. But it's one of the Southern Sun hotels.
Was that with the January 8th?
Yes.
Yes. So he was here. Were you also here for the party celebrations on January 8th?
No, I was here on official duties. The top management of the police will be here to run the operations. We are all here, all of us. So you will get people that you know. I met a lot that I know, and we will greet each other when we met. I had the issue of the Camps Bay, but in Camps Bay, it was actually a friend of mine, Malusi Zondo, that I met at Camps Bay, Tiger's Mill. They were there also eating, and I said, okay, I'll come and see you, Nganwam, and we went there and greeted, and we left.
But why would you give audience to someone you don't know? He must have some kind of influence to access you directly and even to have breakfast with you. Not many people who don't.
No, I can't say really. Chair, I don't have any reason to say No, I can't see you. You're talking to a person over the phone all the time. You're talking to the person over the phone, and then he tells you and says, will you be there? And I say, yes. I say, I'll come and greet you. I say,
Okay, and finally, Sibiya then talks about his interactions with the cat, with Cat Matlala.
Certainly not as a. Maybe
we are not friends, or we were not friends. But at the same time, I was getting to know him. I wasn't really. It was. If ever I've met in my whole life, I've met Mr. Matlala. It is 5 times less. It's not someone that I was really close to. It was just the beginning of knowing each other more. So my interactions with him is really very, very, very limited.
So let me certainly not as a.
Okay, that's some of the comments we've got. Let's get your thoughts about this, right? Here's some WhatsApp comments I can play right away.
Good afternoon, sir, and your producer and all the listeners of SAFM. You see, the thing that I can say today, when I was looking for the general, it seems like, and you can also see the body language and the face. No, the general is not honest. There are a lot of things that is hiding, according to me, because I know, all those people, they will never accept that is wrong. Everything they gonna say, no, I was not wrong because of this and this. So this thing that is coming out through this general, to me, it's nothing. I can't say it's true, because you can also see the body language. That is my concept here from Cape Town. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Sia, here's another.
Honorable L. Sibiya's word is like saying you are a police, but when you visit Cape Town and you see someone committing crime, you must turn a blind eye. I don't understand what is he saying. That political task team was assembled to do something, then it was again deployed to do something. Those are the police. If they are capable of doing something, they can do it. Number 2, Ashraf, these guys of driving Zimbabwean buses from Cape Town to Zimbabwe. Ashraf, here on N1, they will push you straight to the yellow line. They are overtaking on the barrier lines, double barrier lines. They don't care. They are just in hurry. They're just in hurry, and they are always overloaded. Thank you, Honorable L.
Okay, there we are. Well, again, we do have strong opinions from you, the listener, right? Let's get to the news headlines. It's 3:30. Here's Jolani.
Thanks, Ashraf. Good afternoon. Making headlines, evidence leaders in the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria have submitted their application that hearings between October 13th and 17th be heard in camera. They say this is due to the sensitivity of the witness statements that will be submitted before the Commission. Academic activities have been halted at the main campus of the University of the Free State in Bloemfontein. This comes amid ongoing protests by students over the cancellation of provisional registration. And finally, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has welcomed the release of Israeli hostages after 738 days in captivity in Gaza. The UN chief will attend a peace summit on Gaza in the Egyptian Red Sea resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh later today. I will have details on these and other stories at 4 o'clock.
Right, now just let me tell you, this segment is brought to you or sponsored by the special edition Hilux 55. The Legend 55 has exclusive features like a branded styling bar, branded illuminated welcome lights, and 18-inch alloy wheels.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 is where crashes reported at Boysons, queuing traffic both ways. The N17 westbound in Springs, a crash before the Den Road exit, and on the N12 eastbound in Germiston, a stationary truck before the Craft Road exit, causing some delays. In KZN, a stationary vehicle reported that's on the N3 southbound beyond the Market Road ramp. The left lane's closed and you're asked to expect delays. In Cape Town, the N2 outbound has a crash before Baden-Powell Drive, causing delays. Voortrekker Road eastbound, slow moving through Maitland, and on the N3 southbound, slow moving traffic towards Rhodes Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Right, for 55 years, Hilux has conquered South Africa's toughest terrains. Now there's a new legend in the Hilux family, and it's not a bakkie. It's the new Hilux Legend 55.
It's not just a bakkie. It's the new Hilux Legend 55. So it's not just another launch. It's a legacy continued. It's not just an updated exterior, but sleek design with styling bar and roller shutter. It's not just Legend 55 badging. It's a legendary badge of honor. And you're not just a driver, but part of our community, our legacy, our legends. It's not a bakkie. It's the new Hilux Legend 55.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Well, we all know that Bafana are trying to get to the World Cup. In the meantime, the Proteas women are at the World Cup, to me.
Sure. Before I even touch on Bafana, a very good afternoon to you, Ashraf, and our listeners. I'm going to start off with cricket on the go. Bangladesh posted 236 for 6 in their 50 overs against the Proteas women in their Women's World Cup match. Shona Akhtar top scored with 51 not out of 35 balls, and South Africa are currently batting. They're sitting on 3 for 1. This is after 1 over, and South Africa now just need 230 runs in 48 overs to win, with Laura Volvade and Bosch at the crease. Currently, we'll definitely keep a close eye on that one. Meanwhile, the Proteas finished day 2 on 216 for 6, trailing Pakistan by 162 runs in their first test at Gaddafi Stadium today. Tony Dezorzi was 81 not out, and Seniran Mutusami 6 not out when stops were called. South African opener Ryan Rickleton hit 71 to kickstart the innings, and earlier on in the day, Mutusami took figures of 6 for 117 as South Africa dismissed Pakistan for 378 in their first innings. Then moving on to football, now we can talk all things Bafana Ashraf.
Yeah.
And utility player Thapelo Morena has admitted that anxiety kicked in and was definitely their downfall on Friday when they were held to a goalless draw by Zimbabwe in a 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier played at Moses Mabhida in Durban. That draw saw Bafana's chances to qualify for the World Cup hanging by a thread and needing favours from Nigeria in their final game against Group C leaders Benin.
To make sure that we grind the results. To be honest, putting the under pressure word, it's what happened on Friday. We went on the Friday game focusing on getting the goal, trying our level best to score, but we rushed our decisions. Everything was in a rush, so I feel like that's also the food that we put in the game. And so in this game, we're definitely gonna go out gun blazing, but not too edgy to get the goal. Eventually, we will get goals. It's one thing that we do, especially when we play home.
And that's the thing, right? What he's admitting now, I was just thinking about it, that it seems like when Bafana are under pressure, they really struggle to live up to that pressure and actually perform. Because, wow, I watched that game and I was like, no. So in terms of now, Bafana need to win their game against Rwanda and hope that Nigeria beats Benin to finish on top of the group and qualify. If that Nigeria game's in a draw, then Bafana need to win by 2 goals. This is assuming that the other game won't end with anyone scoring more than 2 goals.
Okay, so if we win and the what's it called, Burundi, right?
Yeah.
They lose.
Rwanda. We're playing Rwanda.
No, we're playing Rwanda.
Yes.
But I mean, who's in? We've got Nigeria and
Nigeria and Benin.
did I say Burundi? Yeah, Benin. We need them to lose. I mean, to have a really serious crack at it. So Nigeria needs to do us a favor. But you're saying if Nigeria draws with them,
Bafana needs to win with 2 goals.
Yeah, it's not impossible. But the big point that you made is, if they crack up under pressure, there's no question there's going to be pressure tomorrow night. There's no question about it. Yeah.
Will they be able to rise to the occasion? We are yet to see. Elsewhere, Germany coach Julian Nagelsmann has backed under fire Liverpool midfielder Florian Wirtz to shine in the Premier League. Now, Wirtz has no goals and assists in 9 Premier League and Champions League matches since joining Liverpool from Bayer Leverkusen in the summer for a fee of around £100 million. The Germans stumbled out of the box in the World Cup qualifying campaign with a shock 2-0 loss away to Slovakia and rebounded with a hard-fought 3-1 win over North Ireland in Cologne. Then in tennis, Coco Gauff says that her victory at the Wuhan Open yesterday had boosted her confidence. This is after a disappointing run of results as the American prepares to defend her title at the season-ending WTA Finals in Riyadh next month. Gauff defeated compatriot Jessica Pegula 6-4 and 7-5 in the final of the WTA 1000 event to clinch her 11th career WTA singles title, and it was the 21-year-old's first title since winning the French Open back in June, and now she has become the first woman to win 9 consecutive hardcourt titles since Serena Williams. So big congratulations to her. Then ending things off with EFC Vice President Graham Cotmell says that he will push for a rematch of the featherweight clash between Ken Sekeletu and Billy Oosthuizen. This is after Thursday night's bout ended in controversy. So basically, the judges disqualified Sekeletu for repeated illegal strikes in the third of 5 rounds, handing the title to his challenger, who was already the only fighter eligible for the interim championship. This is after Sekeletu missed the mark at the weigh-in.
It was pretty clear. In the hexagon, I stood and spoke to Mornay and both Fadi, the coaches, respectively, of the athletes. And the first thing I said to them was, let's run it back. Let's do a rematch. It's inconclusive. This is not how anybody wants to end a night. I mean, the build-up was exceptional. The potential of this fight being one of the fights of the year is exceptional. And I just hope that both of the guys come back professional, wanting to engage, wanting to be there, and with the same sort of fire that they had in the build-up to this fight. But ultimately, I'd offer it out tomorrow and say, hey, Mornay, let's get him back in there. And Fadi, are you ready for Billy to defend against Ken? And let's make it happen. Because ultimately, they are the 2 top guys in the division, and that was not a conclusive fight.
On that note, it's a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
Okay, perfect. Lots to dwell on that. The tension ahead of tomorrow is crazy. They're not even playing. I mean, you just work that out.
Amidst misinformation and disinformation, where can we find reliable news? Turn to radio, your trusted source for truthful updates. For over 3 decades, we've upheld integrity as a signatory to the BCCSA Broadcasting Code of Conduct. Count on us for news you can trust. Say no to fake news. Radio, keeping it real since day one. A message from the National Association of Broadcasters. Tune in, trust, and stay informed.
Ashraf Garda is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
Right, let's, in fact, they're not yet back from lunch. I did say they, as in we should be crossing to that, to the parliamentary ad hoc committee, right? So we'll pause on that for the moment, but it means I'll unpause with you because I can talk to you now. Sandile in Aliwal North, hi.
Good afternoon, Ashraf.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, I was listening to the clips that you were playing in regard to the answers from General Sidi. There's this one that is so very much interesting. That he says that he got this call from this guy called Brown, and this Brown. He have never seen this guy, and the senior police official, these guys have got PAs and so on. It's quite so difficult to get through to these guys. And of which he seemed to be comfortable to get a call from the guy that is He has never met, and the guy told him about the investigations that are done on him and so on. And you can clearly see that there's something fishy here. There's something that is not right with this guy. Yeah.
Well, I hear you. Well, I think there's a lot that what you're saying is puzzling. Thanks for that, Sandile. Listen, I can tell you now, even people like ourselves in the media spaces, we do get people who somehow get our numbers and they will contact you. I think the question then is what happens next. So, okay, it's not impossible for someone ultimately to get Sibiya's number. The question then, what does he do with it? And then after chatting a few times, how does he then agree to meet up? And interesting, he's part of the police, which is all about safety and security and allowing someone to get close to him. It's an interesting one if you take what he said literally. Let's get to some of the voice notes.
Good afternoon, sir. Your first caller from Cape Town, Sia, he is quite right. I concur with him. Look, the general, the answers that he is given, we are matching those answers that is given with the body language, but they don't match, because he you can see that he's not having attention to details, like he's mentioning AKA, vice versa, that the arrest of AKA. He's not having attention to details, so his body language speaks a lot about him. He's the in self.
Okay, body language speaks, says a lot about him. I wonder whether you concur with that as well. We've got more thoughts. Let's get, and a lot of that reacting to the Sibiya story or testimony.
He said 5 times less, Ashraf. He says met Mathala 5 times less. People are allowed to lie under oath. As you can see, this guy is lying. He's trying to gather some thoughts. He's lying, blatantly lying. He knows Kate Mathala.
There we are. He's lying. That's what you say. And there's more.
Good afternoon, Mr. A. Sibiya. We have a serious problem there. From the beginning, you can see, the guy cannot be trusted. He went there nice and arming that, okay, he's going to make light of everything, not as serious as it is. That is a scale shame past Cape Town.
Okay, well, you seem to be pretty amused by what you saw and what you conclude on. I wonder if others would agree with that. There's so much, by the way, on that issue, predictably so.
Honorable L. Sibiya's words is like saying you are a police, but when you visit Cape Town and you see someone committing crime, you must turn a blind eye. I don't understand what is he saying. That political task team was assembled to do something, then it was again deployed to do something. Those are the police. If they are capable of doing something, they can do it. Number 2, Ashraf, these guys of driving Zimbabwean buses from Cape Town to Zimbabwe. Ashraf, here on N1, they will push you straight to the yellow line. They are overtaking on the barrier lines, double barrier lines. They don't care. They are just in hurry. They're just in hurry, and they are always overloaded. Thank you, Honorable L.
You are the honorable one, aren't you? Well, you believe these drivers are dishonorable. Listen, we hear that so often, and that's why our roads are such a, what's the right word? Such a Russian roulette. You really don't want to do long distance trips. I mean, for that reason. So we're reflecting on that Limpopo bus incident right around Musina, where, at last confirmation, 42 people had died, 49 injured. It's just such a normal thing, and it's horrible.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I just want to have a comment with regards to General. No, actually, just Shadrach Sibiya. I don't want to call him a general. Doesn't deserve that kind of acknowledgement from my side. Ashraf, no, you can tell it's tainted. Everybody that's in Parliament does not even believe his story, and they're so childish. They're even making those cough remarks like they're coughing just to show they don't believe what he's saying. And at the same time, I would like to say, Ashraf, I watched this interview of a recent interview, actually, very new, of Alec Hogg on Biz News TV on YouTube. with Paul O'Sullivan. So I would recommend every South African to watch it because he paints a different kind of picture with regards to General Mkhwanazi and subs. They're here in Bryanston.
Okay, a different picture. Which picture is right is the big question, isn't it?
Did he say he knows Brown Mokhotsi as an activist in Northwest? Then in the same sentence he says, no, but I have to Google him. Did he say that? Did I get that clear? Hey, thanks very much, Ashraf. This is Bongani. We're in trouble in this country. Yeah.
Did he say that? What did you hear in terms of what was said? Let's pick up on that too. We are in trouble. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Ashraf, I find it very strange and peculiar, actually, and suspicious when this Sibiya man saying that he did not know Mokhotsi at first. He just Googled his name around, and then suddenly Mokhotsi also called him without even giving him his cell numbers. It sounds very, very, very suspicious. I'm smelling a rat around that. Thanks. Willie here in Kuma.
Well, you see, that alone, and I mean, these are in no ways conclusions, right, in terms of the inquiry. But doesn't this show you just how important these forms, these inquiries are? I mean, how else do we get to the bottom of this? Otherwise, we have no idea.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Lennon Khoidi. Ashraf. General Sibiya, first charge, lying to court under oath, it is perjury, straight perjury. He's lying under oath, is straight perjury. That is his first charge. I can bet to you that one is going straight to it. Lying under oath, perjury, because there's nothing that he has said ever since he has started being questioned and answering questions. He's just mumbling around. And all he's saying, all he's talking about is hogwash, 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 lie, 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 lie. Lennon.
Sure. It's amazing how few people are convinced, or rather how many people are actually unconvinced, right? And there's more.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm not a police officer, but if someone call you for the first time, your first instinct will ask you, where do you get my number? Who are you? And what do you want from me? So it's like he allowed him into his space, and now it's as if he doesn't know him. They knew him. How could you go to someone else's house and go in the house and you say you don't know this person? What was discussed in that house? I mean, really? Aye, man. This guy's is taking us for a ride. He's such a liar, man. South Africa. This is Mo in Gauteng. Bye-bye.
Well, there we are. Listen, that's the part I would say. I mean, I would often get people who WhatsApp me and they just say hello, like my first question is like, so who are you and do I know you and who connected you to me? It's like a standard thing that I would ask. I would think that you do the same thing. And then when you're a senior figure in policing in South Africa, like, why would you not do that?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Did General Sibiya care to know where did Brown Mokhotsi got all the information he was telling him? I have a feeling that if someone tells you the information, you must be interested to know where this information is coming from. Even worse, if the person will keep calling you and telling you the information, you must be interested to know where did you get this information. Clearly, they must have talked about it. General Sibiya must have asked those questions to Brown Mokhotsi. I hoped the council would ask General Sibiya those questions.
I'm sure that all that's going to come up anyway. Why would we think that's not going to be? Let me play another voice now, because there's such a range of them before we get to the break.
Afternoon, Nasrat. This is a typical of the corrupt South African. a whole captain, senior policeman, just meeting somebody just like that. Oh, yeah, no, he's taking us for a ride, really. This is embarrassing. Oh, yeah, African national corruption. Yeah, hey, have a good day.
Okay, good day. We'll talk more. We'll get to the ad hoc committee in a moment.
Let's rewind 6 years, when Twitter was still Twitter, not a letter of the alphabet. TikTok was simply the sound your clock made. And Zoom just meant enlarging a picture. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
This summer, the continent unites for the biggest football showdown in Africa. The Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 is coming to your screens, live and available on SABC TV channels, SABC Sport, SABC Plus, and across your favorite SABC radio stations. Catch all 52 thrilling matches, stand behind Bafana Bafana, and experience every goal, every cheer, and every victory from 21 December 2025 to 18 January 2026. SABC Sport brings you all the AFCON 2025 action, live and free, because it's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Hey frequent flyers! FlySafair has got an innovative way to help those that travel lots save big. It's our Fly More auction and it starts tomorrow at 7:30 a.m, giving you the chance to bid on bundles of 10 one-way domestic flights. Because when you fly a lot, buying in bulk is just better. To join, visit flysafair.co.za and create a profile now so that you're ready for when the auction action takes off tomorrow. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Right, so there's been a slightly delayed return after that lunch break. But let's cross now back to the all-important Parliament ad hoc committee hearing. Here it is.
212 statement or a statement that explains this process. I don't know, and I don't want to get too deep into that if that is the case. But my problem is where our names are being used here. Say, I have arranged a meeting for Sibia and a minister. In my case, no person ever arranged a meeting between the minister and myself. The minister, if he wants a meeting, he will call for a meeting. Or the National Commissioner will arrange, the National Commissioner's office will arrange. Not a person who is an outsider say, I've arranged a meeting between you and the minister.
It sounds to me that you doubt or dispute the authenticity of this WhatsApp.
I'm not disputing, but I doubt. I'm concerned because if this house had to invite the expert that downloaded this thing and say, this is who I am, these are my qualifications, this is the system that I use to download this, and this is what I analyzed, this is what I found, and then it is in my professional capacity and my qualifications to be able to issue this statement, and this is what I say. To me, I mean, this is an expert evidence.
But that's what the affidavit says at paragraph 34. Is that Lieutenant Colonel Tiesi, I don't know if you know him personally, from the Digital Forensic Investigations Unit, forensically searched and accessed Matlala's cell phones in the Sandton docket and prepared a report. The purpose of searching and accessing Matlala's phones was to establish the link in the Sandton docket between suspects Musa Kakani and Denny Mabusela on the one hand and Matlala on the other. So this process is described. Unfortunately, we have also asked for the supporting or the confirmatory affidavits to this affidavit of Kunene's, and we haven't received them. I don't know if your legal team has requested them or received them, because one must assume, just being in this profession, one must assume that there'd be an affidavit from Tiesi where he confirms that I refer to paragraph 34, whatever, and I confirm that I did X, Y, and Z, and it's confirmed.
I will tell you the problem that I have with this type of approach from the side of Lieutenant Colonel JC. If Lieutenant Colonel JC is a member of the political killing task team itself, then it begs a question of independence and neutrality, because an expert must be neutral and must not be part of the same team. Because if he's part of the same team, they can produce any result they want. So it's a concern for me.
I mean, he's clearly, or it seems from Kunene's affidavit that he's not. He's from the Digital Forensic Investigations Unit. You should know who's in that unit. You're the head of forensics, the detectives, crime intelligence.
Remember, General Mkwanazi said that they also have the ballistic units, they also have the forensic unit within them. I do know that I have received such complaint from the component head where they wanted certain members to come back from political killing task team, because they say it's affecting their cases, because should their cases be questioned, you cannot really exercise independence and say, I'm an independent forensic expert when you are part of the team that is actually conducting investigation. We can actually investigate you and place you on the scene anytime, even if you are not there, if this is part of the team. But if it is an independent thing, where, like in any other criminal case that is being done, you investigate, you send staff to head office, forensics, then it gets registered in the registers, it goes through the normal channels, get processed that side and then sent. It's neutral. But, however, I'm not here to challenge the authenticity. I say I doubt if that is the case. But safe to say that this is a discussion between two people. I've never said in a meeting that was arranged by Brown Mohosi with the meeting. He's never called me and say, have a meeting with the minister or with Nkabinde.
But this message doesn't imply.
Okay, we're going to pause for that. Let me just tell you, not quite after the news, but later on we will cross in once again and dip into the proceedings at the Parliament's ad hoc committee. Still to come, we'll talk about this bus crash, that horrific bus crash. We'll also chat to other people around the hostage release, Professor Karen Milner from the Jewish Board of Deputies, as well as later on Dr. Zahira Sumar, who is a member of the Global Samud Flotilla. All of that's still to come here on the National Pulse. Right now, let's get the news. It's 4 o'clock. Here's Jolani.
Thanks, Ashraf. Top stories. Asawa, more details on Limpopo bus crash emerge, and the UN Secretary General welcomes the release of Israeli hostages. Good afternoon. It has now emerged that the bus crash the bus crash that claimed 42 lives on the N1 outside Louis Trichardt in Limpopo was overloaded. The bus had a capacity of 69 passengers but was carrying 91 people, including the driver. 45 passengers, including 7 children, survived. The driver lost control and the bus rolled down an embankment yesterday afternoon. Premier Popi Ramathoba says traffic officials will have to explain how the bus managed to pass through the weigh-in bridges.
This bus was overloaded. The bus owner, a preliminary report that he has given us, it's saying there were 69 that boarded the bus. So we don't know what could have happened. People did not embark the bus here in Makhado. We do have traffic officers who were on duty. Why was it not stopped? If it was stopped, why did you allow it to pass? And who stopped it? Who did not stop it? Who did not do their work? And let's start to see accountability.
Evidence leaders in the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria have submitted the application that hearings between October 13th and 17th be heard in camera. They say this is due to the sensitivity of the witness statements that will be submitted before the Commission. They further submit that hearings from the 20th to the 22nd of this month be anonymized. This means that witnesses will testify remotely with only audio. Spahle Mota reports.
Evidence leaders in the Madlanga Commission have cited 4 reasons for witness testimony to be heard in camera without the presence of the media and the public. This includes the safety of witnesses, the protection of ongoing criminal investigations, the protection of investigative methods and operational security, and the protection of informants and confidential sources. Proceedings in the Madlanga Commission were adjourned on Monday after Media 24 and Daily Maverick opposed the application by the evidence leaders to hear witness testimony in camera. I am Sibahle Mota in Pretoria.
A man has died in a fire at the Zululand informal settlement at Masiphumelele in Fishhoek in Cape Town. City of Cape Town Fire and Rescue Services spokesperson Jermaine Karelse says several crews were dispatched to the scene. Karelse says around 80 people have been left destitute. Around 20 informal structures are believed to have been destroyed. Karelse says police are investigating the cause of the fire. Academic activities have been halted at the main campus of the University of the Free State in Bloemfontein. This comes amid ongoing protests by students over the cancellation of provisional registration. Students mobilized from 10 p.m. last night to shut down the campus. They've vowed to continue with what they call peaceful protest marches until the university reverses its decision. Meanwhile, students are still gathered outside the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court, where 6 others are expected to appear on charges of malicious damage to property and attempted arson. And finally, the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has welcomed the release of Israeli hostages after more than 738 days in captivity in Gaza. The UN chief will attend a peace summit on Gaza in the Egyptian Red Sea resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh later today. Sharon Bryce-Pease has the story.
Guterres said he was profoundly relieved that the 20 living hostages had regained their freedom and would soon be reunited with their loved ones after the immense suffering they had endured. He reiterated his call for the release of the remains of the deceased hostages and urged all parties to build on this momentum and to honor their commitments under the ceasefire to end the nightmare in Gaza. He said the United Nations was working to support all efforts to end the conflict in Gaza and alleviate the suffering of civilians amid increased humanitarian access into the devastated enclave. Shervin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.
Recapping the top story this hour, it has now emerged that the bus in the crash that claimed 42 lives on the N1 outside Louis Trichardt in Limpopo was overloaded. The bus had a capacity of 69 passengers but was carrying 91 people, including the driver. For SAFM News, I'm Jolani Tulo-Wepe.
In sports this hour, the Proteas women are 46 for 1 after 11 overs. They need 187 runs in 39 overs to beat Bangladesh. Corruption claims against SAFA head to court. And Jenny van Dijk urges Spar Proteas improvement. This is after Australia whitewash. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N12 R24 westbound in Bedfordview, slow moving on both routes towards Gilulis Interchange, and Bayers Nadir Drive northbound in Melville has delays towards Thomas Barlas Street. In KZN, on the N3 eastbound, a stationary truck before Ashburton, and that's causing some delays, and the N2 northbound queuing towards Prospection Road exit. In Cape Town, the M5 southbound slow moving towards Milner Road, the N2 outbound is slow moving towards Bunga Avenue, and the N1 outbound slow moving on Plattekloof Hill. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
You could spend 10 minutes trying to fix the office printer, or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 30754. Like 65-year-old Helena, who now pays an incredibly low 398 Rand a month for her 2025 Hyundai Exter. With Outsurance, you get the legendary Out Bonus that pays you a percentage of your premiums back if you're claim-free. SMS out to 30754. After switching, 48-year-old Felicity now pays only 836 Rand a month for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson. Outsurance will either save you money on your car insurance or give you cash. If Outsurance can't beat what you're currently paying, ask them for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This October month, SAFM focuses on cybersecurity awareness. As we live more of our lives online, staying safe in the digital world has never been more important. From spotting cyber threats to protecting your personal data, SAFM brings you the conversations that empower you to stay secure. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, so still to come. We won't cross the Parliament right now. We will get an update on that Limpopo bus accident right away. We'll chat to the chairperson of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies as well later on, and we'll take further of your comments, all of that to come up on the show. But for now, let's stay with an issue that certainly is just a horrific story that tends to be repeated over and over again. The Limpopo provincial government confirmed that the death toll in the horror bus crash on the N1 near Musina had risen to 42, with 49 injured. Now, the Transport Ministry, as well as the Premier of the province, were going to visit the scene of the accident today. So let's find out what's happened all day with Michael Makungo, the SABC News reporter, covering the story from Limpopo. Michael, thank you for joining us on the National Pulse.
Yes, good afternoon to you and to all the listeners.
Thank you. Let's start with the numbers. We last heard 42 people had passed on, 49 injured. Has that changed at all?
Definitely, the number still stands at the death is still stand at those who died is still 42, and the survivors is about 45. And going forward, maybe if we just give you what has transpired today, we know that the Premier of the province, Dr. Bophirima Matuba, together with the MEC for Transport, Valette Mate, and the MEC for Social Development, they visited the scene of the accident. They did meet with the crash investigating team, trying to get a feedback, what has transpired, what could be the cause of the accident. When we spoke with the Premier, she indicated that the possible cause of the accident could be the fatigue, because this driver did not have an assistant and he was from Eastern Cape. And just imagine the distance from Eastern Cape coming to Limpopo is such a long distance, definitely. And the other question around was that this, according to the record of the bus company, the bus only 69 people recorded that they've boarded that bus, but inside the bus had about 91 people. So the question is, what happened, where the others coming from, and how these 91 people travel in a bus all the way from Eastern Cape on the road while the traffic officials were there 24 hours, whether this bus were ever stopped somewhere, if it was stopped, what happened there. that's something that is a question which is also part of the investigation, according to the Premier, which is saying she need accountability on this kind of situation.
Well, I expect you to say they need accountability, but of course this is a very recurring occurrence, as you know, right? What about the people? Do you know much about the people who've passed on and who are injured?
Definitely, those who pass away is 42, and those who are injured, they are 45, and those who are critical, we're told that they're about 12. And of course, those that are 45, about 26 are the only who are still being attended to hospital, while others were treated and discharged in various hospitals. Those survivors were taken to 3 different hospitals in the Membe district.
And what about the people themselves? That means who are they? How much do you know about, who are they, where they were going to, what do they do, what about their families?
Of course, we know some of the families did came to the at the scene of the accident. Some did came to hospitals just to check up on of the relatives. But definitely, the most details about who are those people are very sketchy. Remember, some, according to the information, that they don't have the undocumented foreigners, or they don't have proper documents, according to the information that we got. So, hence, even the Premier, she said she spoke with the Minister of International Relations to get assistance on the side of Zimbabwe, on the Zimbabwean side, so that the government of Zimbabwe can intervene, maybe to make sure that the process of identifying these people is moving fast. Because if they're not intervening, because some of them they don't have documents, it might take time to identify these people. But the identification process is expected to start on Wednesday.
Well, what about the bus company? If we're saying that the driver may have caused the accident because of fatigue, it's just a long distance trip from the Eastern Cape right up and very, very further north to Musina. What about the bus company? What did they say?
Definitely, unfortunately, we're not able to talk to them. But what we got is the report that, of course, that was sent to the provincial government from the bus company. That report is the one that they indicated that there were about 69 people who boarded their bus, but to them it's also a shock that the bus was transporting about 91 people.
Okay. Anything else you wish to add that you think is important?
Of course, among of those who were inside of the disease are 7 children, including a 10-month-old baby.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Thank you for your time. That's Michael Makungo, SABC News reporter in Limpopo. So there are many people injured, 49, 46, but we know that 42 people have died in this bus crash where they were driving from the Eastern Cape to Limpopo, so near Musina, quite a long distance. And the story that we hear is that the driver was fatigued. Right, welcome your comments. Now, how do you connect with us? You call in live, 086 000 2032. You tweet anytime using that hashtag, The National Pulse. Tag me and tag SFM Radio, of course. And then you can WhatsApp, text messages or voice notes. Keep the voice notes up to 30 seconds, please. 0614 104 107. Right, we'll take more calls. We'll also connect with the developments regarding the release of the hostages by Hamas right after this.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, talking about that bus accident, here's responses.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. 91 people in one bus. That is terrible. And then last Collins Lutualo was complaining about the rough money that has been applied by everyone who is in the country, even as a foreigner. So imagine those people were to apply for rough money. How much the government were going to pay those people who are, some of them, I don't think they pay tax. It is terrible. What is happening in this country? It's lawless. This is Agmatibula.
Well, I must tell you, 91 odds in a 50 or 60 seater bus, sure, man. And a driver that's fatigued.
Good afternoon, Ashraf and SFM listeners. Ashraf, cross-border transport is lucrative for corruption for the police officers. From Joburg to Musina, it's a lucrative route for corruption of traffic officials. So they might talk about overload and everything, but as long as the police are very corrupt on that road. There's nothing that is going to happen. Thanks, James Jones.
So you're saying lucrative because of the corruption, okay?
Afternoon, Ashraf. Afternoon, South Africa. I just want to weigh in on Trump's address to the Israeli parliament this afternoon. There was hardly any mention of a two-state solution as a long-term solution to the problem in the Middle East. A two-state solution. Palestinians are fighting for self-determination. As long as you deprive them the right to rule themselves, the conflict will persist and continue. I think he is not part of the solution. He's doing it for personal glory to be awarded the Peace Prize next year. Major from Kwatem.
I hear what you're saying, and many believe the same. And I think he's been very upfront about the Nobel Peace Prize, and one may even question the merits of that prize in the light of given the latest recipient, right? But here's the question: whatever Trump's motive, is he going about things the right way? That means, is he getting things done in the Middle East?
Good afternoon, Ashraf Emmanuel Mtola in Durban. I think we are being deprived of the right to know if the witness is conducted behind the cameras. The cameras. Now we want know the truth. Now because now we wanna hear from horse's mouth about these mafias in a uniform, in the police uniform. Thank you.
Well, look, I mean, let's get this right. First of all, the ruling has been that it will be in camera, therefore not for public domain. There's been opposition to that, right? And court papers have been filed by newsrooms in particular. That story is not yet over. We'll hopefully get an answer sometime today, right? But on the other hand, why would they do that in camera? Sometimes when the witnesses are so vulnerable that they believe that when they testify in a public domain that their lives may well be in danger. So it's not like, I mean, unless you doubt the integrity of the people asking questions, because they will not be off camera, they will be there. It's talking about us, right? Sometimes, isn't that a case where we have to look at the merits of each case, on its merits?
Ashraf, good afternoon. It's Clinton here. Ashraf, I don't know when, but something tells me it's only a matter of when and not if before Mr. Sabia will slip it. Mr. Zabia, you can see he's under pressure. It's only a matter of time, and I do think with the MPs questioning him, he will crack under the pressure. You can see Mr. Zabia, his story is not make sure.
Okay, some may say the fact that he's not making sure, they're very sure about that he's not making sure, right? Well, who is making sure?
Hi, Ashraf. Louis from Pretoria. Let me tell you about this bus story. Ashraf, Midrand, in Midrand, there's JMPD there. There's no bus that passes that road without being stopped by JMPD. But let me tell you the honest truth. They always collect money, these guys. They collect money every day. They even chase buses on the freeway with the motorbikes or JMPD vehicles. But you don't see them impounding. Where are the body cams?
Okay, we hear that too. There's so much frustration around this issue. Right, let's talk about issues in the Middle East. We'll get to that in a moment.
We have different languages and cultures, but what we have in common is that we all want a dignified funeral and for our loved ones not to worry about money when the time comes. Trust Clientele to provide you with affordable funeral cover that will pay out within 24 hours. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's SAFM to 48031. SMS now. Clientele Life is a licensed life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates, terms and conditions apply.
Mr. Govender, congrats on the retirement. You just sold your car to We Buy Cars. Tell us about it.
Yes, it just gathered dust in the garage, so I exchanged it for cold hard cash. Now my wife and I can enjoy a stress-free retirement.
Retiring the car as you retire. Nice. So why We Buy Cars?
It was so quick. They came over to our house to do the evaluation, and we sold it the same day. Tops, man.
Okay, so now you got even more time on your hands, eh?
Exactly.
We Buy Cars. Geared for your next chapter, geared for you.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Right, it's certainly one of the big global stories, and it has been for quite some time now, right? But we now have confirmation that a number of hostages have been released by Hamas. This is part of the ceasefire arrangement, the very first step, really, in a much longer process, right? So let's get comment. We'll for now we have the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, and they've welcomed the release of the Israeli hostages held in Gaza, and they've also given thanks to the Americans as well as Arab nations who brought about what they see as a historical moment. Let's try and understand what their position is on this with Professor Karen Milner, National Chairperson of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. Prof. Milner, much appreciate your time on the National Pulse. Prof. Milner, do I have you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I certainly can. Thank you for your time and much appreciated, right? So firstly, let's get to maybe the central position for today, the release of the hostages. You have a position, but certainly your organization does have it as well. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I think it's a really bittersweet day today, but today we're looking more at the sweet than the bitter. I think everybody should be celebrating. There've been calls for a ceasefire for a long time. This war has been absolutely devastating and tragic. It's been brutal on both sides. We certainly mourn the innocent deaths on both sides. So I think the first thing to celebrate is that for the first time in 2 years, there have been short ceasefires, but there seems to be a real chance for a sustainable peace. And for us, certainly to have the hostages back after 2 years in the tunnels of Gaza, the live hostages, we are really celebrating to have these people reunited with their families, and that we've just discovered that 4 bodies will be returned as well, not the full number. And one of them was a member of the South African Jewish community. So while we are devastated that all that is coming back is his body, we are very grateful at least that his family can get some sense of closure.
Well, look, I think many people across the board, when they talk about just losses of life, that perpetuates, they all want an end, I would think, to it. But the reality is, it is in the context of a very, very complex situation where different people have different positions on it. But central to that, of course, are two groupings, Hamas on the one hand and Israel. And on the one hand, Hamas being declared, or seen as a terror group. On the other hand, Israel being viewed by many as guilty of genocide. So I'll just pause on that and ask you then, when we talk about a ceasefire, right, what are your thoughts about the possibilities of a lasting ceasefire as opposed to a fleeting moment?
I think for the first time we're seeing real hope for this lasting. And I pray that this is a ceasefire, not a ceasefire, but actually the start not just of a ceasefire, but the start of genuine peace, of real peace in that region. And I think what's really made the difference here is the fact that not so much that it's brokered by the US, although that was an important component, but we've seen a real big coalition of Arab states. And that's what's really positioned this as a Middle East initiative with Arab states, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt. The conversation as we speak is taking place in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. So this is a coalition that can enforce can address Israel's security concerns. It can enforce peace that I think will be held. And I think that that's really one of the big differences from previous attempts, is the regional cooperation that we're seeing that has resulted in the ceasefire and in the return of the hostages.
Isn't that, maybe the nub of the issue, that, a solution can only be lasting and just if all stakeholders are included? Now, of course, all the peoples or the states you've mentioned are people outside of that region of Israel-Palestine, that ultimately this issue can only be resolved and can be a lasting, just peace if the people that are directly involved, being impacted, can actually resolve things for themselves, maybe with the help of others, but ultimately they need to agree. Don't you agree with that?
I think in the end, we are going to have, I think this is the beginning, as we've said. I think the beginning and the thing that we should be celebrating today is that the war has stopped. That's the start. It may not be the end, but it is the start of the peace. The guns have stopped. The war has stopped. The hostages have been returned. And I agree with you. I think that as part of this process going forward, in the end, they will have to end at some point in direct negotiations between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I think that it cannot be imposed, and I think that there has to be a two-state solution which recognizes the claims of both nations in a two-state solution that is negotiated, recognizes the right of the Palestinians to a state, and at the same time recognizes Israel's right to live within secure borders. And I do agree with you. I think that ultimately will be done only when the parties come together. But previous attempts which have brought the parties together have been scuttled. And I think that at this point, the fact that we're seeing a tremendous regional coalition that will support any kind of peace agreement, I think that is quite hopeful, and I hope that it will be different from all the previous peace agreements and all the previous negotiations, and ultimately result in a lasting peace for the region, because I cannot see anybody who doesn't want that to be the outcome. And I'm sorry that our government isn't there. I have to say, I think it's a great pity that the South African government isn't in Egypt as we speak, being part of the solution to this terrible problem.
What then is the position of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies in terms of understanding the position of the South African government regarding Israel and Palestine?
We think it's a real missed opportunity and a tremendous pity that the South African government, or it's not the current South African government, which is now the Government of National Unity, but the previous ANC government took such a partisan stance. So that partisan stance is not the way that the South African government has typically engaged in international relations. Typically, the South African government has taken a position that in favor of peace, we speak to both sides, we speak to both parties. If peace is the aim, you have to talk to people even with whom you disagree, and even with whom you disagree vehemently. And that's not the position, unfortunately, that the past ANC government took. And as a result of this incredibly partisan position it took, to the extent of within kind of a week or within 10 days of Hamas attacking Israel on that terrible day on the 7th of October 2 years ago, our then Foreign Minister, Naledi Pandor, was calling up Hamas. So I think that... Hello, you still there?
I'm listening, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. So I think that, this kind of immediate sympathy and support Hamas right at the very outset, before Israel had even engaged in an operation in Gaza, certainly placed the South African government in a very strong partisan position. It was a partisan position that seemed to be supportive of Hamas as opposed to their previous position, which was supportive of the Palestinians.
Well, I mean, maybe we stand to be corrected, but I'm not aware of any statement of the current, let's talk of the ANC government under Naledi Pandor's leadership as the Minister of International Relations. I'm talking in the last 2 years being outwardly supportive of Hamas. I think what they've said is that the position of Israel they would disagree with, to the point is we know they petitioned for them for an act of genocide, something the ICJ has already preliminarily ruled on, and others have done so as well, including the United Nations and others. But specifically, South Africa has also been critical of the taking of hostages. I'm very aware of that, having interviewed Naledi Pandor myself.
I think that South Africa's position has on occasion certainly called for the release of the hostages. But its position in terms of calling for the release of the hostages has not come right from the outset, right from the beginning, when a real strong stance from the South African government and from Naledi Pandor, given the relationship that they seem to have had with Hamas and a trusted relationship with Hamas, I truly believe that they could have done an enormous amount more right at the outset, right at the beginning of the war, not to just say we think it would be, we call for the release of the hostages, but in fact to say that the only way that there was going to be peace was actually to demand the release of the hostages, and we've seen that result has come through right now.
Well,
I do think it's a pity that they weren't stronger in that position, didn't take a more moderate position, which would have allowed them now to play a much stronger peacekeeping.
What then, talking about moderate, I mean, what are your feelings about the fact that, and we go back to the South African example, which, with regard to apartheid South Africa and what South Africa, the ANC government and others at that time, activists felt about South Africa and others, right? I say that because Marwan Barghouti, I understand now, who's been in prison in Israel for a long, long time, apparently he's not going to be amongst those prisoners released. Now, I just asked you that because I wonder what your thoughts then. If we want to be all-inclusive, you also can't ignore him. You also can't ignore Hamas as part of a negotiated settlement for the future. Otherwise, you're going to go piecemeal. I mean, as we talk right now, as you know, Benjamin Netanyahu himself, has had charges against him. He's been indicted in 2019, and right now Donald Trump has even asked the Israeli Knesset today, in fact, for those charges to be dropped. What I'm trying to say is, can you see that there has to be a sense of compromises across the board? Otherwise, you'll never get off step one.
I think there's been a lot of conversations at the moment with the Palestinian Authority, with the Fatah wing of the Palestinian Authority, and I think that, and unfortunately there haven't been elections for a long time with the Palestinian Authority, but I certainly think that there is a partner on the other side. I hope that there is a partner on the other side. I don't think Hamas is that partner, and I think that Hamas has proved through their actions over the last 2 years that they are in fact not a partner for peace.
Okay, and of course, as you know,
certainly believe that the Palestinians, certainly there needs to be if you want to ask where is there somebody on the Palestinian side? I certainly hope and believe that there should be negotiations with the Palestinians, but not with Hamas.
All right, but you see, that's the point. Ultimately, it is for the people of Palestine to decide on that, not for you and I to decide. You don't have to answer that because it really is irrelevant for you and I. Let me end with this, however. Just a very quick one as we get on to news time. What is the role of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies in terms of the purpose that it serves in South Africa?
The Jewish Board of Deputies' role primarily is to protect the civil rights of South African Jewry. So that's our primary role, and we engage in government in relation to South African Jewry. One of those roles is associating with is that many, in fact, the vast majority of South African Jews in South Africa have some kind of relationship with Israel, have positive relationship with Israel. We regard it as our ancestral homeland. And so as part of protecting the rights of South African Jewry, we do engage, where possible, with the government in terms of its stance on Israel.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up. Professor Karen Mulder, the national chairperson of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. Delayed news headlines, just going about 4:33. In fact, here's Jolani.
Thanks, Ashraf. Good afternoon. Making headlines, the suspended Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shadrack Sibiya, says he has taken phone calls from controversial businessman Brown Mokgotsi and met with him for breakfast. It has now emerged that the bus in the crash that claimed 42 lives on the N1 outside Louis Trichardt in Limpopo was overloaded. The bus had a capacity of 69 passengers, but was carrying 91 people, including the driver. And finally, U.S. President Donald Trump has told a packed Israeli parliament that the release of the living hostages held in Gaza for over 2 years marks the historic dawn of a new era in the Middle East. Details at 5 o'clock with Greg House.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 southbound, a stationary vehicle on the link to the N12 east at Diepkloof interchange. The M1 southbound, slow moving towards Boysons Road, and on the N3 northbound in Germiston, a crash reported before Geldnys interchange. In KZN, on the N2, there's a crime scene reported at Prospection, so you're asked to expect further delays. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound slow moving towards Okavango Road. The N2 outbound has a crash reported before Baden-Powell Drive. All lanes are open. And Main Road northbound slow moving through St. James. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Well, to me, it's got like a bit of a frown on it because the Proteas women's team not doing too good at all. Yeah.
Because we keep losing wickets. Well, South Africa currently sitting on 65 for 4. This is after 18 overs. Laura Fulvard out for 31. Tasman Brits out for a duck. Anneke Bosch out for 28. And Annerie Dirksen out for 2. Marizanne Kapp and Sinalo Jafta are at the crease. And South Africa need 168 runs in 31 overs to beat Bangladesh. Remember, they posted 232 for 6 in their 50 overs. Then in football, the South African Football Association has until the 23rd of October to comply with a court order and attend a pre-trial conference. Forensic investigator Bart Henderson has reportedly secured a court order demanding SAFA President Danny Jordan and the association's CFO to hand over financial records linked to a $10 million payment suspected of being used to bribe FIFA officials for South Africa's successful 2010 World Cup bid. Now, the order also demands full disclosure of the 2010 FIFA World Cup Legacy Trust accounts, the 600 million rand fund meant to support football projects and development after the World Cup. Meanwhile, Bafana Bafana head coach Hugo Bruce says that Nigeria's situation gives them hope. This is ahead of their must-win clash against Rwanda in the World Cup qualifiers tomorrow. For Bafana to stand a chance to qualify, they need Nigeria to at least beat Benin in the final group game in Uyo tomorrow and win their game against Rwanda. And a draw between the two West African teams could still be enough for Bafana, but they would require them to win by at least 2 goals.
It will again not be easy, certainly not, but as long that it's possible, you have to believe. And I think we will be 1 or 2 days a little bit down, but I will do everything to have again a team who believes in it Tuesday and who will try to win the game with as much as possible goals, because now it will be maybe a goal difference who will decide who goes to America or not.
On to rugby, the Bulls have urged fans to be patient with Springbok fly half Handré Pollard as he adjusts to new plays and teammates at the Union. Pollard played 80 minutes against Ulster on Saturday, his first match for the Pretoria Union, and coach Johan Ackerman says that he didn't play poorly, but it was more the defence that let the Bulls down. The Bulls lost 28-7 in Ireland, and furthermore, Pollard will miss the next 2 games against Connacht and Glasgow to be with his wife for the birth of their child, and could also miss the home clash with Lions on the 29th of November when the Springboks face Wales. Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Peace Mabe, has described the recent budget cuts a thorny issue that continues to negatively affect sporting federations across the country. The department has faced criticism for slashing the sports budget by 2 million rand. Several federations, including Swimming South Africa, have expressed frustrations over the reduction, saying that the cuts are hampering their preparations for major international events such as the Olympic Games. And Mabe confirmed that the ministry is currently engaging with different federations to find practical solutions to the funding challenges.
With regard to budget cuts, it's a thorny issue that we are still discussing. We've been having one-on-one meetings with different federations, firstly to understand their programs and also to understand how the budget cuts have affected their day-to-day running. But there's a plan to that. You would know that the minister's vision is to have a one-stop shop when it comes to sports, so that people don't have to, to travel to different cities when they want to have a contact with sports federations. So it is towards building. It is one step also that is building towards that.
And finally, in netball, Spar Proteas head coach Jenny van Dijk has admitted that there's still a lot of work to be done to help the team improve. This is after their test series whitewash against Australia. The Aussie Diamonds dominated the final test in all 4 quarters to claim a 65-42 win in Adelaide, winning the 3-match series 3-0. And just speaking after the latest defeat on Sunday, Van Dijk said that they're very eager to return home and work on fixing their mistakes. Ashraf, as you could hear from Hugo Bruce earlier on, he was very disheartened.
I think he is. I mean, I had this interview on the SABC platform auditorium about a week ago, in fact, and just the mind is so strong, so powerful, but some things fall out of your control, and you just wonder whether that he knows. Well, they do. They've lost momentum. They were front runners, and now they're not. They need two other teams to do their jobs for them, and besides them doing their own job. And put this in another context. You can get a maximum of 3 points a game, or you can drop 3 points a game if you lose, right? So 2 games, you can drop 6 points. In fact, we dropped 4 points. But if you include in the 4 points the 3 deducted, it's an anomaly. We've lost 7 points out of a potential 6, if you get my point. And that has swung the momentum. How do you pick it up is the bottom line. I think he needs to get Rassie Erasmus on board, because he did say so in the interview I did with him.
Yeah.
He got the box there to get them right. But he probably needs to send the same Rassie to go and speak to the Nigerians as well, if you get my point.
I'll have more in the next hour.
For the best marine migration, you go to KZN. For the best hiking trails, you go to the Drakensberg. For the best flower show, you go to Namakwaland. And for the best in investments, go to Nedbank. Earn up to 10.47% interest with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. For better returns, open an Electronic Optimum Plus account today. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, let's get to those numbers. First day of the week with Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers. You've got news about Boxers interims, Makwe.
Yes, Ashraf, the gas opened 25 new stores punching above its weight. From a net debt position, the guys now they're sitting at a net cash position of 1.1 billion, an illustration of a strong trading period as they continue delivering low prices, as demonstrated by low selling price inflation, turnover up 14%, trading profit up 15%, but profits, as headline earnings per share, down 30%, and that's because of that 51% increase in the number of shares issued, and they declared a maiden dividend of 45.3 cents per share. And Trump struck a reassuring tone on trade ties with China, easing fears of an escalating trade war between the world's 2 largest economies. Trade tensions resurfaced, and market participants were also reminded of Trump's flip-flopping tendencies. And let's hope it's not a replay of what we've seen in April, rather more like a back and forth pre-trade negotiation phase before the November deadline US-China truce. And oil prices moved higher, rebounding from steep declines in the previous sessions as traders' concerns over escalating US-China trade tensions eased, and OPEC kept its oil demand growth forecast unchanged for 2025 and 2026. Brent crude is up 2% at $63 a barrel, but gold traders pushed the yellow metal to fresh record highs at the back of those trade tensions, and gold is also up 2% at $4,091. Platinum is up 4% at $1,665. Ashraf, risky assets are rebounding as Trump softened his rhetoric towards China and hope it's not a dead cat bounce. And the JSE is up 0.8% with resources doing most of the heavy lifting. The rand firmed 1% against the US dollar 17.31, benefiting from firmer commodity prices. Against the pound is 23.09, and against the euro we are trading at 20.04.
Okay, got that. Thanks for that, Makwe. We will connect again with you tomorrow. But remember, Jimmy Moyaha with his 1 hour of the SFM Market Update comes up from 6 to 7. Do not miss that.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
So let me just remind you, having chatted to Professor Karen Milner from the national chairperson of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, we'll chat after 5 o'clock. to Dr. Zahira Sumar, who's the member of the Global Sumud Flotilla, to get her perspective on this day where around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners have been released together with the Israelis as well. So we'll talk about that from her perspective. Do not miss that. Now, we will rejoin the ad hoc committee coming up shortly, right? But before that, let's get to hear the thoughts of the presidential spokesperson, Vincent Mangwenya. He addressed the media earlier today, and this is what he had to say about the president and the committee.
So we have two initiatives currently underway looking into the allegations that were made by General Mkhwanazi, one being the Madlanga Commission and the second one being the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. We are closely observing and following the developments with both initiatives, and we are also aware that at some point, as the presidency, we will need to make our own submission to both forums. I cannot preempt whether the ad hoc committee will call the president as such. So far, the evidence that has been given has not been against the president. There's been a reference to the presidency, and that does not necessarily translate to the president alone. What I think is important, sort of 3 points. One, we are not going to provide ongoing commentary against the evidence that is led or delivered at both these platforms or initiatives. Secondly, when we do make a submission, one of the key points that we will assert is that at no point in time did the president or the presidency, for that matter, seek to interfere or attempt to interfere with the operations of the South African Police Services, and we will be able to substantiate that assertion. So,
okay, so that's interesting thoughts there. We're going to cross next to the ad hoc committee.
X at SAFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
It's certainly been the Lieutenant General Sibiya Day today at the ad hoc at Parliament's ad hoc committee. Let's rejoin right away.
From page 433, it's SFM 16. This is an information note. This is addressed to the National Commissioner. Request for financial approval from 1/8/2025 to 31 March 2026. National Task Team investigating political related cases in KwaZulu-Natal for the financial year 25-26. The background to this is the December 2024 directive issued by the Minister. Various meetings were held. And then it says that there seems to be a motivation, the request for financial approval. Then the recommendations, it is recommended that the approval for the extension be granted for the duration of 8 months from 1 August 2025 to 31 March 2026. The estimated budget for 31,172,426 Rand be approved and funded from the national budget, and such budget be managed at Provincial Commissioner KwaZulu-Natal as recommended by the Chief Financial Officer as per attached Annexure A and B. This is dated and signed by Provincial Commissioner Mkhwanazi, dated 23 July 2025. Then the CFO, in a handwritten note dated 25 July 2025, says funds available. An amount of plus minus 27 million is available and should be managed in such that payments up to 28 February 2026 are paid during this financial year. Now, this is a person you say she doesn't know anybody, not even Matlana. She neutral.
Yes.
And then this is also approved by the National Commissioner on 29 July 2025. It's approved as per CFO comments.
Yes, but what I want to put on the table, Chair and honorable members, is that if we were to take all the applications for money to be approved, and we calculate the amount of money we have spent, and we keep on spending every after 3 months, 6 months, we are applying for millions. Let me ask this question. I know I'm here to respond, but I'm asking this question that this begs the question of saying, if you were to take the same capacity that you have as political killing task team, you put them in case that they're under units and you let them run, you'll still achieve the same purpose without every now and then having to apply for millions every day. You apply for millions of rand. Say, take the same capacity that you have, put it as a unit, then you don't have to every now and then apply for 74 million, 60 million all the time. But let it then happen in each and every province, so that each and every province has got a unit that can carry it when crime is committed, not only in KZN.
Now, just to come back to these WhatsApp messages. We've dealt with the first one, where he said, I've arranged a meeting for Sabia and the minister. They must have a solution. You say you don't know of such a meeting being arranged, and you certainly haven't been in a meeting with a minister.
I've never been in a meeting with a minister in relation to these messages or this issue.
And meetings you have been in with the minister were other members of the force present?
We have.
You haven't had one-on-one meetings with the minister?
I have.
You have?
Yes.
In relation to what?
In relation to the different feedbacks that the minister may require, and not only me, the minister calls whoever he wants to call, depending on the specific taskings there is. And remember, in that specific meeting, it won't be yourself and the minister alone. There will be chief of staff, there will be PA, there will be the advisor to the minister. Sometimes it will be yourself and certain senior officials for whatever reasons. So it can be for any reason. Remember, we are not prevented from speaking to the minister. He's the minister of police. If he calls for a meeting and then he wants to give you a tasking, it does happen that day.
So what are you saying? All these meetings where your staff or other staff were present, were they official meetings?
Yeah, they are all official.
My question, sorry, I should have clarified it. Did you have any private, separate meetings with the minister, just one-on-one with the minister?
I have had meetings with the minister, not a private meeting.
But meetings where only the two of you were present?
It happens.
Sorry. When
Senior Counsel,
sorry,
may we please allow the honorable member?
Oh, I didn't. Sorry, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to raise the issue that the page which was, and the statement which the evidence leader read now, is on the document which was presented to us when the National Commissioner was here, which comes direct from the Madlanga Commission. On what we have in terms of what General Sibia has presented to us, in both bundles, we don't have that page. So I just wanted to say, unless digitally some have that, but if one has to make reference in the document which we have with us, beside the Madlanga statement, we don't have here. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, but remember, we have gone past that stage. We said that the statement that has been deposed with us is the primary document, and any other document that is thereto attached is an annexure. So you are saying that you don't have that annexure.
Exactly, Chair. That's what I'm saying. That what we presented for today, these two documents doesn't have that.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
We will sort that out for you to be assisted to have access to the annexure. I think it should be something easy to do. Just check with the honorable member if the document can be posted in the WhatsApp group for easy access. May we proceed, Senior Counsel?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yeah, I was asking you about one-on-one meetings with the Minister where there's no staff or officials either from your side or his side. Have you had such meetings?
No, not where it's me and the minister were locked somewhere in a room. That never happened. But if he calls for a meeting, for an example, he needs to. I mentioned something. Let's say at the police summit, and say we have a situation where a person has been kidnapped. And I was specifically referring to like Yojeribu Shoha and others at the police summit in the open. And I say, but we have technology in the country. We have service providers that can assist. And let's say the minister will then follow up and say, tell me, what do you think needs to happen? What can we do in this case? Now, it's a question of call. Let's say, for an example, we invite all the service providers, the network providers, and say they have engineers as well. Can we be together in one room and say, today for people to commit crime, they need communication. And as they need communication, how can we make sure that whatever crime that is being committed, we are able to, without any waste of time and in no time, be able to trace the perpetrators? How can we achieve that? Now, it's a question of signing a memorandum of understanding, inviting the stakeholders, and say, let us follow this rule. And there are other meetings where the minister will have other meetings, let's say, for instance, with General Sintumole, or maybe with crime intelligence, depending on what the minister wants to achieve. And it does not necessarily mean that there's anything wrong there, but he's planning his work on how to attack crime in the country.
Okay. So is it your evidence that you never had a meeting with the minister, either alone or with your staff present, to discuss Matlala and or Mokgotsi?
No, with the minister, we never at any given moment, not even for once, discuss Matlala or Mokgotsi, unless it is in an open meeting where the minister had to speak about this tender of Matlala. It is the minister who said, there is this tender, I need to know how was it issued? Can this thing be investigated? It was in an open meeting.
Now, what has raised suspicion, and which is now apparently being investigated, is this message that Mogotsi says the task team that came to your house.
Okay, we'll pause on that for the moment, and hopefully we'll dip back into that ad hoc committee meeting at Parliament later on, right? But let me now remind you, we'll also chat after 5 o'clock, after the news that is, we'll chat to Dr. Zahira Sumar, a member of the Global Sumud Flotilla, just reflecting on the release of hostages and prisoners from all sides, as well as where to next regarding Israel and Palestine. Let's get the news now. It's 5 o'clock. Here's Greg House.
Thank you. Ashraf Sabir speaks on relationship with Mogotsi, and Trump hails release of Israeli hostages. Good afternoon. The suspended Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shadrach Sabir, says he's taken phone calls from controversial businessman Brown Mogotsi and met with him for breakfast. Sabir is the third witness to appear before Parliament's ad hoc committee established to probe allegations of criminal infiltration and political interference in the justice system made by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner. Sabir has told MPs that Mogotsi called him to warn him that he's under surveillance by crime intelligence, even though he was already aware of it. Sabir explains why he continued to take Mogotsi's calls and even met with him.
You mentioned you spoke to him all the time. Yeah, at that time it wasn't that many times. But he's the kind of a person that I never really deliberately, so I never wanted to block him. I deal with information. And then there's no way I'll block him. I will listen to him every time he calls. Because you block the person, the next thing this was the person who was going to save you for one or other reasons. I need that information.
It's now emerged that the bus in the crash that claimed 42 lives on the N1 outside Louis Trichardt in Limpopo was overloaded. The bus had a capacity of 69 passengers but was carrying 91 people. The driver lost control and the bus rolled down an embankment yesterday. Premier Poppy Ramathuba says traffic officials will have to explain how the bus managed to pass through the weigh-in bridges.
This bus was overloaded. The bus owner, a preliminary report that he has given us, it's saying they were 69. That boarded the bus. So we don't know what could have happened. People did not embark the bus here in Makhado. We do have traffic officers who were on duty. Why was it not stopped? If it was stopped, why did you allow it to pass? And who stopped it? Who did not stop it? Who did not do their work? And let's start to see accountability.
A manhunt is underway in KwaZulu-Natal for a suspected cash-in-transit robber after a shootout between police and the group left 3 suspects dead. Authorities were acting on a tip-off about a planned heist when they tried to stop a car in the R74 between Escort and Colenso. Police say the suspects opened fire. The car crashed after a high-speed chase and 3 suspects were found dead at the scene. 1 suspect escaped and is still on the run. IPID spokesperson Palali Shuping.
The Independent Police Investigative Directorate confirms investigations into an incident that allegedly happened between Escort and Ladysmith last night. The incident was reported to IPID for investigations, and the investigations are underway.
The boy who allegedly witnessed the incident which possibly led to the death of former ANC President Nkosi Albert Luthuli in 1967 has been identified as Imemu Mnyandu. This was revealed at the reopened inquest into Luthuli's death in the Pietermaritzburg High Court in KwaZulu-Natal. Luthuli's family wants the court to overturn findings of the original apartheid-era inquest that ruled his death as an accident. Initial findings indicate that he died, allegedly after being struck by a train in Groutville. The state has informed the court that it has managed to locate the boy's elder sister, who's now 84 years old. The boy disappeared shortly after the incident in 1967. Advocate Humphrey Ngobo read a sworn affidavit of investigator Thomas Steyn, who interviewed the boy's elder sister.
On 4 August 2025, Mdletshe took me to the house and introduced me to Cecilia Ncele. On arrival at the house, she was still in bed. She had been ill for some time. She is 84 years old. She informed me that in 1967 she was most of the day in the shop in Umlazi, with her father, and only slept at home. The name of the boy who disappeared is Mpemu Mnyandu. and he was about 4 years older than her.
US President Donald Trump has told the Israeli parliament that the release of the living hostages held in Gaza for more than 2 years marks an historic dawn of a new era in the Middle East. Trump, along with the UN chief Antonio Guterres and others, will attend a peace summit on Gaza in Egypt today. Trump said Israel had won all it could and it was now time for peace.
For so many families across this land, it has been years since you've known a single day of true peace. But now at last, not only for Israelis, but also for Palestinians and for many others, the long and painful nightmare is finally over.
Top story, the suspended Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shadrach Sabir, says he's taken phone calls from controversial businessman Brown Mokgotsi and met with him for breakfast. That's SAFM News, I'm Greg Khus.
In sports this hour, Proteas women 105 for 5 after 27 overs. They need 128 runs in 22 overs to win, and corruption claims against SAFA head to court. More details at 5:30.
This traffic report is brought to you by Auto & General Business Insurance. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP T's and C's online. Auto & General, you got that? Licensed non-life insurer and FSP T's and C's online.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 northbound in Midrand, slow moving towards Samrand Road. The M1 southbound in Parktown, slow moving towards Houghton Drive. And on Old Johannesburg Road in Centurion, a truck crash reported at Remte Road that's causing some delays. In KZN, on the N3 eastbound, a crash before Key Ridge. The M7 is where truck congestion is reported at South Coast Road, so you're asked to expect delays. And on the N2, there is a crime scene at Prospection. In Cape Town, the N2 outbound, a stationary vehicle at Borchards Quarry Road. The N2 outbound also has a crash before Baden-Powell Drive. All lanes are open, and the R101 to Toitskloof Pass is closed for upgrade works until the end of October. Traffic can use the N1 Huguenot Tunnel as a local alternative, and toll fees apply. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
And this traffic report was brought to you by Auto & General Business Insurance. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP T's and C's online.
Hey frequent flyers, FlySafair has got an innovative way to help those that travel lots save big. It's our Fly More auction, and it starts tomorrow at 7:30 a.m, giving you the chance to bid on bundles of 10 one-way domestic flights. Because when you fly a lot, buying in bulk is just better. To join, visit flysafair.co.za and create a profile now so that you're ready for when the auction action takes off tomorrow. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Youth football is on a real vibration in Chile. 24 under-20 national teams are fighting for the ultimate glory. Rally behind African champions, Amachita, including 3 continental representatives, Egypt, Morocco, and Nigeria. This is the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Catch the action live on SABC 1, SABC Plus, SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, and SABC radio stations from 27 September to 20 October 2025. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
This October month, SAFM shines a light on mental health awareness. This month, we bring you conversations that break the stigma, encourage care, and provide strategies to protect your mental well-being. Because it's okay not to be okay, and together, we can build a healthier tomorrow. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, the third hour of the show. Always listen to the National Pulse from 3 to 6 every single day. And of course, as you know, besides listening, many of the conversations we have are put up as a podcast. Go to safm.co.za and you'll find them under the podcast and the national parcel. Let me also tell you that later on we'll be crossing once again to Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption. That comes up around 5:20. Right. Okay, let's move on to the other issue, the big global issue that's certainly impacted the world. We had a chat, we were talking about the prisoner swap to a degree between the hostages, what is termed the hostages, and prisoners between Israel and Palestine. We had the chat earlier with a representative from the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. Let's get another perspective on this issue. In terms of, I think the big perspective is not so much what happened, but where to next, right? With me is Dr. Zahira Sumar, who's a member of the Global Sumud Flotilla. Dr. Sumar, much appreciate your time here on the National Pulse.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hopefully the line is going to get better as we talk. I'm hearing some echo as we chat, but hopefully that can get sorted out pretty soon, right? First things first, maybe as I talk to you in particular, because you're one of the people who were part of the flotilla that were effectively stopped, then you were apprehended, detained, and sent packing. Just what are your thoughts about what happened to you and the others last week?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know if the line is okay now.
Much better, yeah, thank you.
So, okay, amazing. Okay, so, I mean, look, it's not very different to what happened with the Madeleine and the Handela in terms of trying to break the illegal siege. We just wanted to come in much bigger numbers to obviously try and have a much more successful attempt at breaking the illegal siege. Unfortunately, we were not able to reach the shores of Gaza. Again, we were a peaceful, non-violent humanitarian mission, and we were kidnapped and taken hostage and imprisoned by the Zionist entity while we were on international waters. We did not cross over into territorial waters when we were taken. And so, our human rights were affected. We were not illegal in what we were doing, and we were taken illegally against our will.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. How would you say, what would you tell someone who would say, yes, you were in international waters, but we know where you were headed. And if you're headed in our direction, I'm talking from an Israeli perspective, then we're going to put a stop to you anyway. So if we do it rather sooner than later.
Well, I mean, firstly, we were not headed to Israel. We were headed to the shores of Gaza. So that's one discrepancy that we can discuss. Secondly, when you are in international waters, there is a discussion to be held as opposed to a kidnapping that takes place. When the Navy ships approached us, there was no discussion as to what are you doing, why are you here, what are your intentions. It was more a case of, we are about to board your boat and we will take over your boat and we will arrest you.
Okay. And how, I'm going to fast forward to what's next, but just a quick thought then in terms of once you were arrested, or as you said, kidnapped, and you were taken in custody, what was your experience like? We've heard different things from different people. What is yours like?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the time of interception, we knew that it was highly likely that we were going to get intercepted. I mean, we always lived with the hope that, some of us would make it to the shores of Gaza. That was the aim. Maybe not all boats, but some. But interception was always a highly likely possibility. And we also knew that should we be intercepted and kidnapped and taken hostage, that we would likely be imprisoned. We didn't know which prison we would be in. I mean, obviously, we landed up being in Kizot prison towards Gaza in the Negev desert, but obviously that wasn't known. Personally, when I was intercepted on the morning of the Thursday, the 2nd of October. It was broad daylight. I was pretty calm, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I could see the Navy ships coming towards me. I was pretty calm. The rest of my team on my boat was pretty calm. And we we had a pretty, for lack of a better way of putting it, standard interception. Right? They boarded our boat, they cable tied us, they took us to the front of our boat, and they jammed the cameras, they jammed the Starlink, and then they basically took over our boat, moved us to below deck while they took us to Ashdod port. So we took everything in our stride, and the reason we did that is because we knew what was coming, and we knew what we were prepared for, and we were trained for it. And so It wasn't a traumatic experience. I would say the being at Ashdod Port at the detention center and then being taken to prison was significantly more traumatic than interception.
Okay. And just your thoughts about, as you said, being more traumatic. What was it like? Just a quick response on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, they used very aggressive force with us. At one point, I thought they were going to pull my arms out of my body. That's how aggressive it was. They choked my neck. They pushed us down. They humiliated us, treated us like animals, cable tied us. My hands were cable tied behind my back until it turned purple and I lost sensation in them. And the guy behind me saw it because I was numb. And he had to scream for an officer to come and release me because I had lost complete sensation in my hands and it was purple. We were blindfolded. I was stripped naked 3 times. My hijab was pulled off my head 4 times. And this was all just at Ashdod Port in the detention center, not even in prison. I mean, in prison, we had additional psychological warfare treatment, guns in our faces, lasers in our faces, dogs in our faces, armed guards constantly constantly coming into our cell, waking us up and counting us and threatening us. We would be gassed every night. So there was a lot of them trying to break us in every possible way that they could.
Okay, let's now move on to where we are today. I mean, today is the day of this great swap, right? Prisoners, hostages swap. What do you make of it? What's your perspective?
I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical because in every other prisoner swap, it hasn't gone as planned. The Zionist entity has not stuck to what they've said they were going to stick to. I'm skeptical because the ceasefire that was announced a couple of days ago has not been honored. We've had journalists die significantly afterwards and people have been bombed afterwards. So I'm skeptical as to whether they will honor their word and do what they say. But also, just the terms and conditions of the hostage swap are just not fair. I mean, if you look at the thousands of Palestinian hostages that they hold, it's just not adequate and just not equal.
Talking about the journalists, I mean, we heard about the killing of Saleh Al-Jafari on the one hand, yesterday, I understand. But in terms of prisoners, and I think interesting, Sky News reports and describes him as the Nelson Mandela of the Palestinians, Marwan Barghouti. Unless it's changed in the last hour, my understanding, the Israelis have been emphatic that he will not be released. So if that would be the case, I mean, how unequal can one then work in terms of creating a lasting, just solution?
Yeah, it's not a lasting, just solution. When you have negotiations taking place about Palestinians without Palestinians at the table, how can that be equal and just? These are other countries sitting around the table making decisions for Palestinians and the state of Palestine without anyone being present to represent Palestine. How can that ever be unequal and just in any case, regardless of which country is being discussed? You need representation at the table, and the people should be representing themselves as to what equal and just feels like.
So we have, on the one hand, the Palestinian Authority, right, in the West Bank, and then you have Hamas that's been, by and large, in charge of what is called Gaza, and there could be other groupings as well. There's a sense amongst many people, specifically I've heard many others, including the Jewish Board of Deputies earlier, that, yes, Hamas should not be part of any negotiations. I mean, seriously so, without even discussing the merits of what they do or do not do. Again, can one ever enter into a lasting peace without a key player? I look at the South African example of maybe somebody bowling out the ANC, for example, or the PAC at the time of our negotiations.
I mean, it all comes down to representation of the Palestinians and who they feel are adequately representing their rights. Palestinians are not monogamous in their views. No nation is, right? Not even South Africa. There isn't one view that exists in terms of who's an equal party and who truly represents us and who should be at the table that represents every single person. That doesn't exist in South Africa. I don't think there's one party that all South Africans, 55 million South Africans, feel is a true representation of themselves. And so that's why you have a parliament and you have a representation of various parties which follow a democratic process. The same would exist with any other country. I mean, Palestinians, I've heard Palestinians that are in support of Hamas, and I've heard Palestinians that are in support of the Palestinian Authority, and I've heard the opposite as well, vice versa. And so, it is a matter of who they feel is representative and how they are represented collectively and who sits at that table. It's like asking the DA to represent South Africa or asking only the ANC to represent South Africa. And as South Africans, I'm not sure that we would be okay with that either.
Now, we talk at a time of the Gaza summit, and I know Donald Trump is there. At the same time, there's been the sense of euphoria amongst many people about, you see, Donald Trump positioned perfectly to create peace in the Middle East. I know he's missed the Nobel Peace Prize of last week, but, that would be, his end goal. What do you make of his role as, peacemaker or deal maker in all of this?
Same sentence as Donald Trump. I don't think he's I don't think he's capable of peace, and I don't think Donald Trump ever has anybody's good intentions in mind except for himself. I'm sorry to say, but anything that he's wanted to do has very self-promoting aspect to it, and he thinks about him and his legacy and the people of America and the rights of Americans. And when he considers Americans, he considers white Americans. He doesn't even consider immigrants or people of color. So I don't trust anything to do with Donald Trump, and I don't even think that the word peace can be used in the same sentence as him, or even a treaty of some sort.
All right, we've got about 30 seconds to go. Interestingly, talking about Donald Trump, he's today speaking in the Israeli Knesset, called upon the president of Israel to effectively pardon Netanyahu for other issues he's been indicted on from a good few years ago. And I say that because there's been a sense from many people to say, if the war does stop, then what happens next is Netanyahu's reign will come to an end. So I know we've only got 25 seconds, right? But just your quick thought in terms of what do you see would be the solution? People talk about one-state solution, two-state solutions from people who are one people but not one people. What do you think would work?
I think what needs to be worked is you have to ask that question to the people of Palestine. I don't think anybody else can answer whether they want a one-state solution or a two-state solution. And I don't think there's one answer from all Palestinians either. I think it's not a simple answer, the one-state versus the two-state. I think the devil is in the detail as to what a treaty or a peace treaty looks like. It's got to do with right of return as well. It's got to do with what does a two-state even look like from a governance perspective. So I don't think the top line is what matters. I think it's the detail what matters. And that's why a ceasefire is always.
And let's leave it at that. The devil is in the detail. We'll leave it to that. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated, Dr. Zahira Sumar.
Bafana will host Rwanda in the final FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifier at the Mbombela Stadium on Tuesday, 14 October 2025 at 6 p.m. Tickets are now available nationwide and online from 70 Rand for adults and 40 Rand for children on all Ticket Pro outlets including Spar, Postnet and all petrol stations. Get your tickets early to avoid disappointment. This is the final push for Bafana and supporters should show up by the numbers. Gates will open at 3 p.m. If you are not in Mbombela, catch the game on SABC3. For more info, visit safa.net and at Bafana on all social media platforms.
Hey, frequent flyers! FlySafair has got an innovative way to help those that travel lots save big. It's our Fly More auction, and it starts tomorrow at 7:30 a.m., giving you the chance to bid on bundles of 10 one-way domestic flights. Because when you fly a lot, buying in bulk is just better. To join, visit flysafair.co.za and create a profile now so that you're ready for when the auction action takes off tomorrow. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Okay, we should be crossing to Parliament now, but I understand that the hearings have been adjourned. So what we'll do, nothing to lose, because we'll talk to you, right? So how do you connect with us? You can call in live anytime when we open the lines, which we do right now. You can also WhatsApp us in text messages, or you can do the same in voice notes. But if you're doing it via voice note, keep it up to 30 seconds max. Now, to call in live, save this number. I gather you've got it already anyway, right? 086 000 2032, and the WhatsApp is 0614 104 170. There are people tweeting as well, so do that. Hashtag the National Pulse when you do that. Right, I'm going to pick out your comments. Ashraf, if Israel is a partner in peace after what they did in Gaza, killing and sniping children, I think that's one of the points that was brought up by one of the audience members, right? Okay, there's more in terms of the conversations we've had in Parliament, but also regarding the issue of potential peace with a prisoner hostage swap. Let's get your thoughts on that if you wish to add to that too. There's been comments about the bus overload we touched on earlier.
Yo, good day, Ashraf. This transport thing is a problem. I stay in Mpumalanga. Those taxis and buses, especially taxis from Pretoria, Johannesburg via N4 to Mozambique. They overload those things, but I've never seen any of them being impounded. And I've been in Mpumalanga since 2005. So the public transport is a serious risk to our roads. And as long as these guys keep paying the cops, they are safe.
Okay, as long as they're paying the cops, they are safe.
Ashraf, good afternoon. What I know about these bus companies, if you're in Zimbabwe and you want to send your child to South Africa or wherever, you give the child to the driver and you pay the driver. So if the bus is overloaded, the driver is the one receiving the money in cash, and that money goes to his pocket and he pay whoever he needs to pay.
I've had so many like that.
Ashraf, did you know that you cannot drive a Zimbabwean registered commercial vehicle with your South African license if you are a Zimbabwean? Did you know that you cannot drive? You need to have a Zimbabwean driver's license to drive a Zimbabwean registration. But here in South Africa, the guys, they can drive as they wish with licenses which you cannot even confirm. Hence all these problems.
Oh my, there's so much, well, not just dissatisfaction, disgruntlement about many of the things that people observe, including the bus overload too.
Ashraf, good afternoon, and the listeners. On that accident of the bus, that 32 people overloaded of 32. That money, they use it for themselves and to pay to the police. Thank you.
Okay, here's one about the chat with Dr. Zahira Sumar. They kidnapped. They knew, talking about the flotillas, they knew what's coming. They were arrested. I don't believe what she was saying. But does she not have a point? It was in international waters. They were heading to Gaza, not to Israel proper. So how do you get apprehended in the middle of the sea when you're not on their land? I mean, just think about that.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. It's Hamilton. As far as Palestine and Israel as far as concerned, I think and believe that the UN and the world, or the world, has created its own problem and is trying to resolve it without consulting both parties to find out what is it that they are fighting for. So it will be difficult or impossible to resolve such issue.
Well, maybe to a degree, that's the point of Dr. Zahira Sumar, right? Remember, we earlier chatted to the representative from the Jewish Board of Deputies who spoke about a two-state solution. Dr. Sumar, in fact, says, it's not for us to decide on that. Ask the Palestinian people, what do they want? How do we decide on that? In the same way, can you imagine if others were asked to decide on South Africa and what happens next? It's an important one.
Yes, Ashraf. If according what I'm hearing from your listeners, there's no need to have this commission of inquiry because they already passed judgment. The magistrate, it will take 6 months, 5 months. You have to get all the facts, put all the facts together, then make a verdict. But our people, one is somebody saying they already found a person guilty. How can that be? It now doesn't work that way.
Okay, and then what about this?
Ashraf, everyone in parliament is corrupt. Everyone is getting something from somewhere. They are close friends or family friends. They're the ones who are getting these tenders. So even that general is also corrupt. You can hear, you even ask yourself, how did this guy become a general? He can't even speak properly. So Ashraf, I don't know. This is a mafia state. So South Africa, I don't know what needs to happen. But what General Mkhwanazi did, I think, is the start of a good thing. So I think everyone should be audited. All those politicians, they are multimillionaires. Some are billionaires. Thanks.
Aye, but you speak in absolutes, man. Everyone is corrupt. That's what you said. Like, everyone? And then you said all the politicians are multimillionaires. All of them? Really? All?
Hey, good afternoon, Ashraf. Gerald Spear didn't know Mkhulu. a former premier of KZN. He know him when he was introduced to him. When he's a minister of police, he said he didn't know him. Hi, Kaizil, siyabonga. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, whereas so many comments. I wish we had as many comments about Bafana for tomorrow. And we'll leave that for tomorrow, okay? Not for today. All right, let's get to the news headlines now. It's 5:30.
A quick look at the headlines. A manhunt is underway in KZN for a suspected cash in transit robber after a shootout between police and the group left 3 suspects dead. The boy who allegedly witnessed the incident, which possibly led to the death of the late former ANC president Nkosi Albert Luthuli in 1967, has now been identified. And US President Donald Trump has told the Israeli parliament that the release of the living hostages held in Gaza for more than 2 years marks the historic dawn of a new era in the Middle East. All those details and more at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in Parktown, slow moving towards Houghton Drive. In Pretoria, the N1 northbound, slow moving towards Rigel Avenue, and on the N4 eastbound, a crash on the off-ramp to Solomon Mhlangu Drive. In KZN, the N2 northbound has a crash before Mgeni Road, Chris Hani Road westbound, queuing at the N2 highway, and on the N3 eastbound, a truck crash before Key Ridge. In Cape Town, the N2 outbound has a stationary vehicle before the R300 highway, on the R60 queuing traffic south of Worcester near the Newer River, and Marine Drive outbound in Milnerton, queuing towards Broad Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Tomorrow, definitely eye on Bafana, but for now, it's eye on the cricket.
And Marizanne Kappa and Chloe Taran are actually holding things steady at the crease. South Africa currently on 133 for 5. This is after 33 overs. Cup on 47 and Taran on 39. South Africa currently needs 100 runs in 98 balls to beat Bangladesh. Bangladesh posted 232 for 6 after their 50 overs. Meanwhile, the Proteas finished day 2 on 216 for 6, trailing Pakistan by 162 runs in the first test at Gaddafi Stadium today. Tony Dezorzi was 81 not out and Senuran Mutusami 6 not out when stumps were called, and South African opener Ryan Rickleton hit 71 to kickstart the innings. And earlier in the day, Mutusami took figures of 6 for 117 as South Africa dismissed Pakistan for 378 in their first innings. Meanwhile, in football, Bafana utility player Thapelo Morena has admitted that anxiety kicked in and was their downfall on Friday when they were held to a goalless draw by Zimbabwe. That draw saw Bafana's chances to qualify for the World Cup hanging by a thread and needing favours from Nigeria in their final game against Group C leaders Benin.
To make sure that we grind the results. To be honest, putting the under pressure word, it's what happened on Friday. We went on the Friday game focusing on getting the goal, trying our level best to score, but we rushed our decisions. Everything was in a rush, so I feel like that's also the foot that we put in the game. And so in this game, we're definitely gonna go out gun blazing, but not too edgy to get the goal. Eventually, we will get goals. It's one thing that we do, especially when we play home.
Meanwhile, the South African Football Association has until the 23rd of October to comply with the court order and attend a pre-trial conference. Forensic investigator Bart Henderson has reportedly secured a court order demanding SAFA President Danny Jordan and the association CFO to hand over financial records linked to a $10 million payment suspected of being used to bribe FIFA officials for South Africa's successful 2010 World Cup bid. The order also demands full disclosure of the 2010 FIFA World Cup Legacy Trust accounts, the 600 million rand fund which was meant to support football projects and development. This is after the World Cup. Then in rugby, the Bulls have been urged to be patient with Springbok fly half Handré Pollard as he adjusts to a new place and teammates at the Union. Pollard played 80 minutes against Ulster on Saturday, his first match for the Pretoria Union, and coach Johanni Ackerman says that he didn't play poorly, but it was more the defense that let the Bulls down. The Bulls went down 28-7 in Ireland, and furthermore, Pollard will miss the next two games against Connacht and Glasgow to be with his wife for the birth of their child, and could also miss the home clash with Lions on the 29th of November when the Springboks face Wales. Then in tennis, Coco Gauff says that her victory at the Wuhan Open yesterday had boosted her confidence. This is after a disappointing run of results as the American prepares to defend her title at the season-ending WTA Finals in Riyadh next month. Gauff defeated compatriot Jessica Pegula 6-4 and 7-5 in the final of the WTA 1000 event to clinch her 11th career WTA singles title, and also it was the 21-year-old's first title since winning the French Open back in June, and now she has officially become the first woman to win a consecutive hardcourt titles, 9 consecutive hardcourt titles since Serena Williams. And before I go, Ashraf, unfortunately, I guess I need to talk about the predictions from this past weekend.
Yeah.
I literally only got one right. Spar Proteas losing to Australia. Bafana did not win. Obviously, it was a draw. And the Sharks got thrashed this past weekend.
So you
one
lost
out of
out,
3.
and so did the teams that you were hoping to win last
Literally.
time. A bad weekend.
Bad. I was saying I can't even predict for tomorrow because I'd have to predict for Bafana and the Nigeria game.
Yeah, it's a game of 4 halves.
Too much
not
pressure.
2 halves, 4 halves.
Too much pressure.
Yeah. In the 88th minute tomorrow, I just wonder, my goodness.
Let's wait and see. With that said, ke nna Tumi Kgabele, Modimo ke o.
The SABC News Portal is your one-stop digital platform for all the news you need. Stay connected with the latest and breaking stories. Listen to all SABC radio stations live, including podcasts, and also watch the SABC News channel with clips and live streams of all the big news events. Simply download the SABC News app on your smartphone from the Play or App Store. SABC News, independent and impartial.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Jimmy, it's the weekend's all gone, so we get to the Monday. And what's stopping your agenda ahead of your show, 6 to 7 tonight?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Good afternoon to the listeners. There's a couple of things that I've been keeping an eye on throughout the day, and we're going to be getting into some of those things. The interim updates from the teams at Boxer as well as Calgro M3 both gave us interim updates today. We're going to speak to both company CEOs and get a sense of how they are performing in the first halves of their respective financial years and what lies ahead for each of those companies. Then we've got a conversation with National Treasury taking a look at a new initiative launched last week by them, the Mzansi Exchange. We've also got a conversation with the Just Energy Transition Project Management Unit within the Presidency to get an update on the Just Energy Transition initiatives and projects that we can get an update from that perspective. And then because it's Monday, we've got a personal finance segment on Mondays. We're going to be taking a look at managing your finances, specifically if you happen to find yourself in a blended family. So we're going to be looking at that on the show when we come back a little later on. Before we get to those conversations, the markets have had a better start to the week. Last week we closed out with some profit taking, with some risk sentiment coming out of the market off the back of what we saw happen out of the United States. Going into the weekend, we had President Trump announce new tariffs on top of the already existing tariffs for China. China did not sit back idly and just let that announcement go unanswered. They responded in kind from their perspective, saying that if those tariffs aren't walked back by Washington, they would respond with tariffs of their own. So the tariff conversation and the trade war conversation always at the back of investors' minds. That probably is the reason why we've got a new all-time high on the gold price. I know Marco Masalela touched on that a little earlier on. We are at $4,094 a fine ounce at the moment. However, the gold price did have a really positive trading day. I'm just trying to check if I can find any of the platforms that would have seen the gold price tap above $4,100 a fine ounce. While I do that, I'll give you a sense of the other numbers that have been moving. The Brent crude price, $63.65 a barrel. Platinum back at $1,700 a fine ounce. Palladium, $1,541. Resource counters off the back of those commodity prices up more than 4% on the day's trade. They were enough to carry industrials and financials that were down 0.75% and 0.25% respectively. If we look at the all shares overall performance on the day's trade, 0.91% to the green. The top 40, 0.96% to the green there. The rand showing some signs of life and recovery against the US dollar as well. 17 rand 29 at the moment. We were at 17.40 towards the end of last week. Towards the beginning of last week, we had gotten as good as 17.12 at one stage. So we're going to see how the rand will shape up this week. But against the British pound, it's at 23 rand and 6 cents. 1 euro, 20 rand and 1 cent. 1 Australian dollar, 11 rand and 27. So gaining a bit of ground against all of the major currencies really there. And in terms of the Bitcoin price, $114,000 odd dollars a Bitcoin, which is below the 2 million rand mark now with the stronger rand and the weaker Bitcoin price. In rand terms, we're at about 1.98 million rand, so about 20,000 rand away from that 2 million rand mark. We'll see if the week will send the Bitcoin price in the positive or in the negative. But before we go, a quick look at other markets. All international markets, in the case of Asian markets, were in the red. Biggest loser there, the Hang Seng in Hong Kong, down about 1.6%. The Nikkei in Tokyo down about 1%. The ASX in Sydney down about 0.8%. European markets were slightly mixed, but mostly positive. The CAC 40 finishing flat, the DAX in Germany finishing almost 0.5% to the green, and the FTSE in London about 0.1% to the green. US markets at the moment are running quite hot, with the Nasdaq up almost 2%, up about 1.9% at the moment. The S&P up about 1.5%, and the Dow Jones up about a little over 8%. We're going to look at these and other market movements when we come back after the 6 p.m. news. I want to particularly look at some interesting developments that have been shaping some of the decisions that investors have been making as we go into this tail end of the year. The last quarter of the year is usually the shortest quarter, and we're going to take a look at what investor sentiment might be saying with all the developments out of Washington, out of Beijing, and everywhere else in between. But of course, that comes up after the 6 p.m. news, as I mentioned. For now, Ashraf, back to you.
All right, perfect. You enjoy your show. Lots to consider then and look forward to, for sure, the SFM market update. Well, what about Parliament's ad hoc committee? We get to that next.
At Anglo American, we mine more than minerals. We mine possibility and progress with purpose. For over a century, we have been part of South Africa's story, investing in our country's potential and unlocking opportunities together. This year alone, through our Kumba Iron Ore business, we've invested 25.9 billion rand into South Africa. This includes infrastructure development, education and healthcare, community upliftment, and more. Follow us on our social media channels, Anglo American South Africa, and join the conversation. Anglo American, mining potential, building beyond.
Hey, frequent flyers! FlySafair has got an innovative way to help those that travel lots save big. It's our Fly More auction, and it starts tomorrow at 7:30 a.m., giving you the chance to bid on bundles of 10 one-way domestic flights. Because when you fly a lot, buying in bulk is just better. To join, visit flysafair.co.za and create a profile now, so that you're ready for when the auction action takes off tomorrow. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, I know normally we take calls and lots of people want to comment, and I hear that, but there are times, and it is a very different last few weeks we've had. We need to cross to Parliament's portfolio, ad hoc committee rather, Parliament's ad hoc committee. So let's do that right away.
Chair and honourable members, when you are a National Commissioner of the South African Police Services, you remain the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service, even if you are on leave. Whatever that happens in the country is still on your shoulders. You're still accountable, even if you are on leave. Whatever that happens, you will make a call, or a call will reach you. We all know that if there comes something that needs where you need advice, you will pick up a call and call the National Commissioner, and he will advise you. being on leave. Even if he's overseas, he knows he's still the National Commissioner of the Police.
No,
He will
but you've got an acting national commissioner.
It's fine. As the acting National Commissioner, I will call the National Commissioner and say, NASCOM, I'm confronted with 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you suggest how I should deal with it? He will say, no, I suggest that you do. It happens all the time. He will say, no, I suggest that you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's not easy to just say, no, I was on leave, I'll see it when you come back. The country won't stop. You remain the National Commissioner. Now, in this case, the acting National Commissioner is there. One thing that is for sure is that the letter from the Office of the National Commissioner will never be disseminated further downwards unless there's consultation, whether with the acting National Commissioner or with the National Commissioner himself. If they did see that document, the National Commissioner said he became aware of that document on the 2nd of January. Even General Mkhwana says he called him and then he asked him, he said he didn't know about it. It is not enough to say, I saw it, but I said, no, I'll see it when I come back. No. You are the National Commissioner of the Police of the country. You are confronted by a document that is addressed to you by the minister. I will take a call. I will call the minister and say, Minister, I received this document and I still think that we can engage on this document. Can I come back? Can I respond to this document when I come back? This is under normal circumstances, what must happen. So now, as far as I'm concerned, where I draw the line is the fact that here is an email which is a directive from the office that I report to that says do the following. In the same email, same breath, when you go to 55, page SB4, page 55, same email, you'll see below is the National Commissioner's office. On top is my response. I carry out the instruction as I receive it, and I don't change even one word. I say, DNC Crime Detection has directed that the trailing email be forwarded for your attention and the closing report be signed off by the 13th of January. National Commissioner wanted it on the 14th. I say, let me see it before on the 13th of January. This has got nothing to do with Brown. It has got nothing to do with Cat. It is simply what is being received by me from the Office of the National Commissioner. And I remember we're all coming back from leave. So now.
But Brown, it may have nothing to do with Brown or Cat.
Yes, I agree.
According to you, but we know, we agreed that. We know for a fact that they knew about it. They knew in this WhatsApp exchange on the 1st of January, they knew that the task team is going to be dissolved. They said so in their WhatsApp communication.
The dockets were that thing was in the media. It was in the media. Everybody read about it in the media.
On the 1st of January, on New Year's Day?
I think from the 31st or the first day, but it was on the media, same day. It was leaked same day, same time. Now, can I proceed?
Yes, please.
Now, I then contact the National Commissioner, NASCOM. I received this thing. And I'm going to approach General Rabi to assist me. There's a hand.
Honorable Nombalo.
Yes, Chair. I just want to be clear for my records. I don't understand the response that has been given by the General, that when he says the disbandment issue was already in the media. What does he mean? Does he mean it was in the media before the decision was taken or before the decision was communicated? What is the meaning of that? So that we can record properly.
The letter of the disbandment signed by the minister on the 31st of January somehow found itself in the media space, and it was widely circulated. So most of the people, including the DPP, KZN, and Provincial Commissioner KZN, they all say we saw it on the media. So it was leaked somehow to the media. In my case, it was never sent to my office. You can follow all the email trails. We never received it. Now,
have you responded to the...
I did, I think.
Okay. How to...
I see there's still follow-up question.
Do you know...
Still a follow-up question.
Senior Counsel, there is a follow-up question from the Honorable Member.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah, no, Chair, still what I don't understand is, was it in the media before it was signed by the minister, or after it was signed and before it was circulated? Can he be clear on that?
It was after it was signed and after it was sent to the National Commissioner's office.
Honorable Nomvalo, are you satisfied?
No, I think I'm satisfied, Chairperson. He says it got to the media after it was sent to the National Commissioner's office. I think that is my understanding of what he is telling us.
It's like Honorable Ngola was also trying to help to give a better understanding. Honorable Ngola.
Chair, I clarified Mr. Nomvala, that's why it's covered. No, no, Chair, just one thing which I think the SC maybe you can come back to it at the end when you're about to finish. When you started with the communication from Mr. Brown Mohodze to Mr. Ket Matlala that says the team that harassed you in your house is dissolved on Monday, blah, blah, blah. I have arranged a meeting with Sibia and the minister, blah, blah, blah. But you quickly skipped without the general. The general was trying to give his understanding of that, but I think the SC quickly skipped before the answer, but he may come back to it later, it's fine.
So your request is that the general respond to that statement. Okay. SC, did you get the point? Or General, did you hear what the Honorable Member is saying?
I heard what the Honorable Member said, Chair. I would prefer that maybe the SC should pose the question so that I can then respond directly to the question.
Okay. SC. The Honorable Members are saying that at the point when you were supposed to have allowed the General to respond, you quickly moved to the next question and did not afford him an opportunity to comment on the statement regarding the alleged WhatsApp text, which on page 20, which it is alleged that they form part of a conversation between Mr. Mohodze and Mr. Matlala.
Well, I thought we had passed, and when I clarified that the text, although it was found on Matlala's phone, extracted from his phone, that the text actually came from Mohodze, who made...
What they are saying, they want to hear the comment of the General on that statement.
I got the impression he agreed, because I clarified it. I may have been mistaken or confused him, and now I'm clarifying it, and he agreed with the clarification.
Okay, let's hear what Honorable Ngola's point is.
Chair, I think the SC is not understanding what we're trying to say. He himself started with the text, alleged text that is part of the bundles. The text, besides the fact that it's a communication between Mr. Brown Mogodze and Kurt Matlala, but it makes mention of a role that is supposed to be played by the Deputy National Commissioner of Police, because it says, I have arranged with the minister and SBIA. And our understanding is that the SBIA that they are talking about, unless the general is going to clarify it, is the Deputy National Commissioner of the South African Police. So before the general could comment on that text or alleged text, the SC skipped to another aspect. So if we can allow, amidst him leading evidence, if we can allow the General SBIA to also make an input on that. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, I responded by saying that I think this was a communication between two people that spoke about our names. And at this point in time, Chair, one cannot really accept responsibility of two people talking somewhere and adding our names when we are not sure and even part thereof. And in an attempt to try and demonstrate that we had nothing to do with this whole thing, I'm bringing in all the correspondence that shows that this instruction, if we were acting on an instruction or advice or request, or maybe as indicated by Brown Mogodze to Kurt, the whole arrangement would have been started by me. I would have been the one to write, and then the House would have been perfectly allowed to say, but on what basis did you write this? Because we see this email, this communication between Brown and Kurt, and we see now you wrote this letter, you are disbanding. Who gave you this permission? But that is not the case. Unless this whole thing, anyone who wants to say, I know, the minister knows, then the National Commissioner knows, because this communication is also from him. I'm saying, me, what I responded to, is that what come from the National Commissioner. That what forced the National Commissioner to write that email to me, is that what gave me an instruction to start implementing. Above all, let us look at the email that the National Commissioner says, I spoke to General Rabi to help him. And who is General Rabi? It's in the National Commissioner's office. And we can go to that email. But listen to this before we go to that email, the document that was crafted from the National Commissioner's office. My staff officer say, I write to my staff officer and say, please call me at your earliest convenience to discuss the above directive from the National Commissioner's office. Now, she says to me, that's my staff officer now, 7 January. She says, General, I've confirmed with Brigadier Lotoko that she dealt with the HR matters separately, and ours is just to facilitate the closing report to Minister's signature. For Minister's signature, I have sent it to the DIVCOM office with due date for the 13th of January. 13th of January. Now, this is my staff officer. This date of the 13th of January is given by my staff officer. These are staff officers working. I accept the responsibility of what she wrote, but I'm just indicating, Chair, that this is the date she gave and said the National Commissioner want this by the 14th. So you see, I bring this thing on the 13th so that the DNC can have a look at it. That's what happened. Now, we then go to, I want us to go to the letter that was written then. I don't want to run ahead of myself, Council, but I wanted to then refer to SB 6, which is page 59 and 60. Now, General Rabi having been directed by the National Commissioner to assist me, I also spoke to General Rabi, by the way, and the National Commissioner also said he asked General Rabi to assist me. Now, General Rabi produced a document. This document is at page 60. It's written, Deactivation and Disbandment of the National Task Team on Political Killings.
Right, that's where we are going to leave it. Of course, it'll happen again tomorrow with the Parliament's ad hoc committee, and we'll take in some of the key moments of the day as well. I welcome your thoughts. A pity I couldn't take many of the additional WhatsApp comments. We had many on some of the biggest issues that we covered today because, of course, of the crossings. But do me a favor, if you can, please, just check out, go to our podcast, safm.co.za, then podcast, then the National Pulse. You'll find all the podcasts of all the things we've had, not just today, but last week and the days before. So that's where you can find it and then share it amongst your friends as well. So thank you for listening. We'll do it again tomorrow. Right now it's 6 o'clock. Let's get the news with Greg.